Cinema Oddities, late night movies with Rob and Zack. This is a podcast about cinematic oddities where we discuss any media that is too bizarre, abnormal, or off-kilter for contemporary audiences. Occasionally these projects gel, most times they crash hard into the realm of obscurity. Join us as we delve into the cult classic swamp. I'm Zack.
And I create life! And I destroy it. I have to give my alternate because I didn't think anything could beat the line I was gonna say at the start until Eddie Redmayne gave that delivery because it was so good. But my other one that I was gonna go for was, and I don't care what you wanted, you don't treat your cousin like chicken. This movie is a doozy, and it's a doozy for our 200th episode. We made it. A 200th main episode, I guess. Because we don't count the bonus episodes. Just these Monday releases. So, right off the bat, 200th episode, I was thinking back. Of course, we might remember, or you might remember as the audience, 100th episode was Mortal Engines. And I even want to throw in, just to get 3 data points, our first episode was Batman v Superman. So clearly, Zach, our centennial episodes are exactly what you wanted this podcast to be.
Oh, 100%.
Goofy, gonzo, blockbusters that flopped. I think they all fall into that category. I don't know if Batman v Superman flopped.
It didn't make as much money as they expected it.
Yes, they didn't. It didn't make $7 billion.
Yes.
It only made, like 750,000 or something, probably even more. I don't know. But I was thinking about that, and I'm like, okay, this makes some sense. Because I remember when we did Mortal Engines, we mentioned something, and even leading up to Mortal Engines, you were the one who was like, what are we going to do for our 100th episode? And I was kind of like, I don't think I really care about the 100th or the 100 anniversaries. I like the anniversaries. So I like that I get the yearly anniversaries with the extravaganzas, and you get the centennial episodes with these crazy movies.
My anniversaries come like every 2 years.
Yes, exactly. And I have to say, after Batman v Superman, after Mortal Engines, I'm so glad that we're getting to one of these crazy blockbusters that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I guess I want to say it right off the bat, Jupiter Ascending, I fucking loved this movie. I was so into this. This is the kind of thing, convoluted mess of a film that I need to watch 6 more times to get a handle on what's happening through most of it. This is like the Wachowski Southland Tales. And I think it's not only in the sense that it's convoluted, I think we'll get into how little agency our main character has, because just like The Rock in Southland Tales, Jupiter, I guess we should call her, Jupiter. Mila Kunis in this movie has really, she doesn't know what's going on, she's just going through the motions, and by the end of the film, she's just running around aimlessly, and Eddie Redmayne just happens to find her. But I loved Jupiter Ascending. So Zach, of course, we have already discussed the Matrix movies. I guess I'm just going to say it. We are recording this on September 8th of 2021, a full 110 days before it comes out. And this is really because Zach wanted to watch this movie with me. Is that accurate? Or is there more?
No, there's no more context.
Okay, that's it. Yes.
I figured for okay, we have to go back to, again, I don't want to get too far with context. But considering Rob's and I's affinity for the Wachowskis,
yes,
and just their kind of bananas nonsense that they've been known for, oh god, since the mid 2000s.
Yep.
This feels like something that considering that Rob's never seen this, and that there is a nice amount of context here from when the trailer was released for this. This is something that Rob we had to see in person together.
Yes, and I'm so glad we watched it. It was the last movie from the Wachowskis that I hadn't seen. I watched Bound a few days ago in preparation for this, and when we finally got to this, I'm so glad. Not only to finish the Wachowskis' filmography, but that it went out on a high note like this. And Bound, I'm sure I mentioned it earlier in this series, or will mention it, because we are so far from recording the Matrix trilogy, that Bound was great as well. And I was mentioning to Zach before we started recording, I love every Wachowskis movie. Not just I think I love every Wachowskis movie. And that is a great, great thing. Would you fall into the same category that you love all the Wachowskis movies? Of the ones you've seen, because I think you still have not seen Bound.
I've not seen Bound. I wouldn't know if I say love. I'm trying to think, my favorite Wachowskis movie. Oh god, I guess it'd be a toss-up between The Matrix Revolutions and Speed Racer.
Okay.
It would be a toss-up. I really, really love The Matrix Revolutions.
We're going to have some hot Wachowski takes throughout this entire episode, I feel.
Yeah, like I said, to me, to this day, I still think the first Matrix film it's so dry. Mm-hmm. I know it's cinematic importance. It's just such a dry film to the uninitiated.
Sure.
You really have to kind of understand what they're getting at. But no, overall, like I said, Wachowskis, like, it's gonna be very hard to discuss them because they just again, I don't know.
Yes.
I just they are on a different plane of existence than the rest of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, and tune in or check out our episode from 3 weeks ago where Zack discusses more of his thoughts on The Matrix.
I look forward to that series, folks, that you're now hearing after we've just completed
the final episode of yes, and maybe The Matrix 4 has come out at this point. This is truly the turnstiliest episode of Cinemodities.
Rob and I have like a little mask over our face. We're trying to like breathe the reverse oxygen.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully the recording, our hot takes of the Wachowskis don't become ice takes or something 110 days down the line since we're in Tenet world so much. But yes, I'm so glad we got to finish this up, and I will even though we did not discuss all of the Wachowski films, and there's more we are going to discuss in the future, I will definitely give my rankings at the end of the episode. It's going to be tough, because I love all those movies. Just like it was for Henry Selick. It's tough to rank movies that you love every single one of. So, Zach, where do you want to start? Where do you want to start with Jupiter Ascending? I see you ferociously digging through the history of our Facebook messages. I'm guessing to find...
There's like a picture, I'm going from December 2010. There's like a pregnant Dora the Explorer. I have so many questions right now.
There's a lot of stuff I don't remember from our Facebook messages throughout the years. Our main form of communication.
I don't know what the hell happened, but like at some point in the Facebook Messenger, it goes from March 2011 to February 2015.
Ooh, interesting.
Much like Mila Kunis, we have some missing time going on right here.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe the, don't know what those aliens are called in the movie. Maybe they wiped our memory. Maybe they neuralized us or something.
Yeah, it's not, like, legit, like, there is, this is the context. I was hoping I could pull it up. Like, we go from, like, a thing of, like, for some reason, pregnant Dora the Explorer, Rob. I love to know the context besides this.
Did I send it or did you send it?
You sent it, Rob.
Okay, that sounds about right.
And then, like, it goes from March 2011 to February 2015.
Okay.
And it's something Eraserhead related.
Okay, of course. I would probably guess that a solid 15-20% of our Facebook messages are about Eraserhead.
But yeah, so what happened was, like, because, the context of Jupiter Ascending was, this is one of those films that I could have sworn they released, like, a trailer, like, sometime in the Comic-Con. I don't know. Again, the timestamp is now gone. But I want to say, 2012 or 2013, they released, it was, like, the first look at this. I remember saying it to Rob, and I was like, looks like typical YA garbage.
I remember not liking the trailer, because I think they were pushing up the space opera stuff and the romance between Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum, which is definitely, like, that romance is my least favorite part of the movie, but it's not as egregious as I thought it was going to be from what I remembered of the trailer, which I haven't seen, in 9 years.
Yes, it's been a while. And that was kind of it. Like, this was always on my radar, but when this came out eventually in February of 2015... It was in a weird period for me where, like, I had, like, the movie vouchers things hadn't started yet.
Okay.
So, like, I was kind of, like, living off the fumes of my gift cards, probably from, like, prior birthdays.
Sure.
Yeah, the U.S. release date is... oh, my God. Just give me the goddamn U.S. release date. Okay, for some reason it can't just give me the regular release date.
Zach has found a page, it seems, where it has the release date for literally every city on every planet in the known universe.
Except for the U.S. No, February 6, 2015.
Okay.
So it wasn't Valentine's Day.
Okay, so a little earlier. Okay.
Yeah. And, like, I didn't see this in theaters, even though it looked, like, right up my alley. At this point, God, we were even before Batman v Superman.
Yep.
This is like, a weird period for, like, film culture. Before, like, Jurassic World and The Force Awakens, kind of like this weird thing of like bring the past back, this was, I wanted to see this in theaters. I didn't. I'm pretty sure I obviously got it from the library at some point.
Okay.
And that's when I experienced this, and I'm just like, what is going on? And I always found it endearing, but, like, I never found it endearing enough to, like, want to drop $20 on buying it.
Sure.
Until November 2018.
Yes, Zach is looking at his receipt.
I'm looking at my receipt where I walked into my local Big Lots, and Jupiter Ascending was sitting there for a whopping $3.
Oh, God.
$3, and I could not slam my 3 Mr. Washingtons down.
If I saw that for $3, I think now I would buy it as well.
Is this the cheapest movie I've ever had for Cinemonds? Because wasn't the prior one, like, Sicario, where I got for $4 at a sale at Target?
I think so. I think
this is the cheapest Cinemati I've ever
gotten. Yeah, and that was a while ago. Okay, yeah. And the Blu-rays I've bought, I've gotten for, like, 6 to 8,
all 2 of them.
Yeah,
Southland Tales and...
Southland Tales was a little more expensive because it just came out. I think
that was a boutique.
Like
plus, that was Arrow.
Or something.
That was Arrow.
Yeah.
So that was like a boutique label.
I think Searching was like $6, and I know Anomalisa was $8. So yeah, $3 for Jupiter Ascending.
Truly the cheapest cinemati.
I feel like there's some people in the audience, who have maybe seen this movie and maybe don't feel as much, enthralled with it as we are, going, $3 is too much for Jupiter Ascending. But if I saw that, I would totally be happy to have Jupiter Ascending on my my Blu-ray shelf, or little, collection of Blu-rays, next to all the old PS2 Guitar Hero games. So, I'm glad you got it. And how many times have you seen this movie? That's something that I wanted to ask you, because like I mentioned, as I was watching it, after finishing it, I'm like, I dug it, it was convoluted, I can explain maybe 40% of what was going on, I would need to watch this so many more times to understand it. Not just what's going on in the movie, but even just to begin to get the jargon of the world down. Like Zach said before we started recording, we need like a dictionary or something, or a manual to understand this movie. So, how many times have you seen it, and do you feel that you are starting to crack through what this movie is?
That's the thing about this movie, is that, like, it's the John Carter thing, where I know Rob still hasn't seen that.
Yep.
But it's the idea of, like, we're just going to throw so much nonsense at you. A lot of big words, a lot of goofy words.
Yes.
I've seen this at least, I'd say, 4 times, if not like a half a dozen. Like, I've seen this a couple of times. It's Wachowski's nonsense. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a romp. And that's the thing. When you boil it to its essence, it's not that bad. It's not hard to grasp. Like, I feel weirdly now, it would be harder to explain, like, contemporary Star Wars than it would be to explain this.
That's a good point.
I feel like even Marvel, I think like 2021 Marvel would be harder to explain to somebody than this.
Sure.
It just uses a lot of goofy names and language and just stuff, and it's like, oh, we have the House of Braxis, and then it's the Dune thing. This is the thing where I think is kind of fascinating about the Wachowskis, and the problem now is that they are like, we're never going to know their thought process. They're maybe even more guarded than David Lynch is in that regard, and that like it feels like they read Dune.
Yes.
And they were like, not watched anything Dune, just read Dune, like, we're going to do this better.
Sure.
And they fell into the same pitfalls as every other, like, adaptation of, like, one of these older properties, whether it be John Carter of Mars, Dune.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're going to do this, but make it original. But actually, I had a pretty interesting thought, and considering that, like, Denis Villeneuve's Dune, when we're recording this, is on the horizon, by the time you're hearing this, it's probably on, like, God, everything now.
We may or may not have talked about it already.
We may or may not talk about Denis Villeneuve's Dune. This feels like, considering that this is a Warner Brothers title, and that Warner Brothers has been the one trying to get Dune off the ground now for like 20 years, this feels like they wanted to do Dune, and the studio said no.
Ooh, that's an interesting take, yeah.
Or the opposite happened. The studio wanted them to do Dune, and they said no.
And they said, I swear to God, it's not the peoples or batteries anymore. It's that they're the fuel for the fountain of youth. And they were like, yeah, but Dune has the spice. And the Wachowskis were like, nope, people as fuel. That's what we write about.
Like, that's the thing. Numerous times through this, they keep talking about, like, Eddie Redmayne has, like, the blue crystal goo.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, this is the spice melange. That's what this is.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
is Dune. This is Dune. Like, that's what it is. Like,
from the story even to the visuals, in the beginning when we're getting these grand, shots of spaceships and stuff, and there's this, it was an awesome shot near the beginning where, like, some spaceship, like, comes up through the rings of a planet, and I'm like, this is great. This is so Dune, though. This is like the space travel that, Dino De Laurentiis wish it could have looked like back in the 80s type. And I'm sure what we're going to get in Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Some great visuals and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you bring that up also because I found in my research that apparently Lana Wachowski's favorite book and the inspiration for this story is The Odyssey.
Yeah.
And if you look at any of the grand, famous sci-fi epics, of the era, not just the Dune era, but before that, like with Heinlein and Stranger in a Strange Land and stuff like that, they're all just the Odyssey, basically. It's the rehashing of the very famous tale of Odysseus. I also did like that I read that it also, in conjunction with the Odyssey, the Wachowskis really like The Wizard of Oz. And they basically said
that's on brand for
that Channing Tatum's character is the analog of Toto in this movie. And I'm like, I don't think Dorothy falls in love with Toto. I don't think that happens in The Wizard of Oz.
That's the thing where the Wachowskis are fun, though.
Yes.
They would look at that and be like, we're going to do this, but wouldn't it be great if Toto was a human character?
Yep.
That's the sort of stuff, like, you really wish that, like you got to give Warner Brothers an insane amount of credit for, after, again, you think about it, they have Cloud Atlas, another, like, $100 million+ budget, bombs. Yeah. Speed Racer, God, I forget what that was. 100 in the ballpark of 100 million.
Very
it was a 9-figure budget. Bombs. And then, like, we're talking a solid decade off of a lackluster performance of The Matrix Revolutions. Mm-hmm. And there's like, here's another $200 million. Like, we trust you. And finally, after 3 strikeouts, did Warner Brothers tell them, like, no, we are not cutting you. You have to go back to the well of nostalgia. Then you have to kind of like lick your wounds.
Yes.
And like I told Rob, as soon as this ended, I'm like, this is the film that broke the Wachowskis. That finally, they're blank. Again, and to talk about something that we, again, I think at this point, I think the audience knows what we probably just recorded when you talked about Jordan Peele.
Yes.
It's the idea of, like, I think this is what's going to eventually happen to Jordan Peele. It's the idea of, like, you had your Matrix. You had your huge cultural zeitgeist moment.
Yep.
And, like, again, Matrix Reloaded is very similar to us, US, as Rob likes to call it.
Definitely.
And then we're going to he's going to trickle into this, like, they'll keep writing him checks. But they're going to bounce eventually. And he'll be forced to go back. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's inevitable. It's...
What would be the sequel to Get Out? Get Out Again?
Still Getting Out?
Still Getting Out?
Got Out?
Gotta Get Out? Got Out's a good one. Get Outer? Get Out 2 Hyper Out? Get Out 2 Get Out Boogaloo? And
Get Out
a musical?
Get Out 2 Confessions of a Teacup.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Jeez. No, that's a good comparison. And, I mean, once again, we're talking a little without knowing really anything about the new Matrix movie.
All we know is that, like, it's supposed to... the rumors... I know Rob and I've talked about it a few times now on the podcast. Is, like, it's supposed to take place with, like... The actors are in the movie. Like, it's very self-aware, which sounds like something the Wachowski... Well, Lana at this point, because apparently... I don't know. I can't say. I know their born name. I don't know.
Lily, I believe.
Lily, is it Lily? Okay. It used to be so easy. Lana at least made it easy for us. It's the idea that, like, you only have one of them now. And it's
I think that we can be not to cut you off, but we can be a little loose on this episode because we know in the previous...
Andy directed this with Lana,
yes,
so we could. It's a weird teetering act where, like, we're just being respectful to history.
Exactly, we're being respectful to history, and Zach and I are
we're bigots. We're confirmed bigots.
Come across as bigots, we're still not going to be as bad as what I expect in the previous 3 episodes that Ben is going to be. I feel like we're going to have to explain to Ben every single Matrix movie that they transitioned at a certain point.
Hey kids, when Rob and Zack decided that we were going to do this month on the Matrix movies and the Wachowskis, we asked Ben what his thoughts were on the Matrix franchise, and he said something along the lines of not really remembering them and or disliking them. So when we told him that Zack and I had been thinking about these movies for probably, 15, 20 years, he said, oh yeah, I have no problem not being a part of that. Hence why he was not around for the month of December.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, we know nothing about it. You mentioned it. That's what I heard, too.
At this point, I don't feel comfortable talking because I feel like it's too spot on.
Yeah.
Like, as of a recording, it's like just yesterday, they, like, released, like, the very bare-bones teaser poster.
Yep, the red and blue pill.
There's some stills out there now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just Keanu Reeves looking like John Wick.
Sure.
Like it's the exact... Like I said, and I think that's part of it, too, that's going to play into this. I think the idea of John Wick is going to weirdly bleed into this movie. Think about it. There's an entire generation of moviegoers now that Keanu Reeves is not Neo. He's John Wick.
Yeah.
And I think that is 100% going to bleed into this.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think to the detriment of whatever Lana's going to do with this.
Yeah, exactly. Keanu Reeves has such an interesting career with how people know him, and just because by accident of birth you know him as a different character, it's wild. But we can't wait to see it. We're going to see it. It's going to.
We might have seen it by the time you're listening to this.
Exactly. Yes.
Tell us how it was in the comments down below.
Yes. It's going to be a very dated episode. But yeah, the Wachowskis, they're so interesting, and I think not having rewatched prior to this recording all of the Wachowski movies, I think that'll happen as we get to the Matrix movies and stuff. This is one of the, like, best examples of what they're going for with their shtick, and I know we have talked about it a lot with the Matrix movies. I think Cloud Atlas is like the other contender for them really getting everything they want to go for and putting it into one movie. But, I think we've mentioned it before whenever we discuss Speed Racer. Every single one of their movies is about finding your true self. In whether it's, through being reborn, like in Cloud Atlas, through it be genetic recurrence, I think they call it in Jupiter Ascending, whether it be, breaking free of the Matrix, and even in Bound, whether it be, actually just realizing who you are and having agency as a woman and things like that. This movie really gets at that idea fantastically. Because I think Cloud Atlas, it gets a little muddled with the source material that it's on. Of course, you have the, reincarnation and stuff like that and parallel storytelling. But this movie, the genetic recurrence just screamed to me. It's like, this is what the Wachowskis are going for. They have this idea that, the spirit carries on throughout all of human history, and the universe even, and I felt that it captured it wonderfully. And I think that's why I love this movie so much, that I'm like, this is great, this is what the Wachowskis always want to write about, and they're really capturing it here. I've heard that's what Sense8 is kind of about, except it's
Rob knows more about that from reading the Wikipedia article.
It's something like 8 people are born at the exact same moment in time and they become linked, and so it's more like the connection of humans rather than the recurrence of, a soul, for lack of a better term. But I thought this movie captured it perfectly. The Matrix Revolutions, maybe Reloaded gets it in maybe the second best. Speed Racer's more of the corporatized version of it.
Well, that's not to lose yourself. Like, you've gone through the ringer and keeping true to yourself.
Yes.
And corporate, the corporate entity tries to destroy your soul.
Yes. But I love that idea, and I love that it came through in Jupiter Ascending. Of course, this movie being after both of the Wachowskis'
It's weird how
transition.
It's weird how you look at the Wachowskis' filmography, and you have The Matrix, which is very dense, but for some reason everybody kind of glommed. Like, I don't think people understood The Matrix. I think it was cool.
No. And I'm sure we talked about that 3 weeks ago, that, The Matrix is one of the original Matrix is one of the most important movies ever that everybody took the wrong message from.
Like
because
leather.
It wasn't...
Leather,
yeah,
gun
exactly. It was, oh man, isn't it cool to shoot these people that aren't real, you know, that they're simulations and something so we can kill them all willy-nilly. And it's like, that's not really what The Matrix is about.
And
then you have Reloaded and Revolutions, which Reload was one of the most hyped movies of all time.
Yes.
And then, like, everybody kind of just walked out. They're like, well, the action was there, though, but, like, we don't get any of this. And then people got frustrated by the two-parter, which at that point the Wachowskis were also ahead of, too. The idea of doing a two-parter. Cliffhangers aren't new, but the idea of, like, okay, we're doing a two-parter and the next installment's coming up in a couple months.
Yes.
It was not the typical, like, you have to wait a couple of years. And then, like, Revolutions comes out, and it's one of the most, like, devastating box office stories where it literally made half as much money as the second film.
Oh, yeah.
Where it just shows, like, that is just audience erosion. People just said, nope. And they walked away.
Yes, I'm sure we talked about it 2 weeks ago in the Matrix Reloaded episode. We're going to rehash so much stuff because of the turnstiles, but I wish I could have been in the theater for Matrix Reloaded.
You didn't see that in theater?
No, I did not.
I saw that and Revolution.
I had to catch that on HBO after it came out. I don't think I didn't see any of the Matrix movies in theaters. I was not privy to the Matrix. My parents weren't either. Yeah,
God. Okay.
I wish I could have been in the theater for the end of The Matrix Reloaded, when they show that dude, I just imagine everybody in the theater would, like, collectively went, what the fuck are we seeing? Like, that's the end of the movie? It's such a wild thing, and I know I'm going to try and get it. I did for the last 3 weeks, like, blend in stuff about the Animatrix, because, I love the shared media idea that Wachowskis go for, but I wish I could have been there in the theaters just to hear or feel the tension in the room when The Matrix Reloaded ends with that shot of Neo lying on the table and it pans over to Bane is his name or something like that. I wish everybody would have been there for everybody to go, what?
That's what happened. That's what everybody does. Somebody who was there in 2003, and that was with my nephew, my mother, and I. For the record, because Rob was talking, the show that I was there, I saw The Matrix, I think, for the first time, like, in 2001, maybe 2.
Okay.
And I remember again, obviously, the toy magnet that I am, wanted a Matrix toy. And I did not know that this wasn't Keanu. This was Tank.
Yes, it says it on the box.
And I didn't know. I just figured this was Neo because it vaguely looked like it.
And on the cardboard backing, you have a picture of Neo. Yes.
But this is, I've had this, at least 20 years.
Jeez.
And that was the thing. It was like, I was always fascinated by this movie. As a kid, like, I think I talked about numerous times in 2001, hence the 4th year, is when I really got indoctrinated into movies. And The Matrix was really the most contemporary movie on any of these lists. So that is why, like, The Matrix has always been around. I remember, I think my mother and I saw it on TV. We were visiting my grandmother in New York, and that's how I watched it. I couldn't imagine what a watered-down, like, broadcast television version of The Matrix looks like. But we both enjoyed it. Like, as much as, God, how old was I? 9. As much as anybody at that age could. And it was. And that's like when The Matrix Reload was coming out. I remember I got the DVD. I still have the God, I have like 3 copies of the Matrix film.
Okay.
I have the Matrix DVD with the weird like plastic snap thing they used to do. Remember, it's like a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
I have that somewhere. I have the Blu-ray, and even Rob knows, and we probably definitely talked about it a couple of weeks ago now. I have the 4K like trilogy set.
Yes.
Which now is going to be out of date because they're going to release a 4-disc version at some point with all 4 films on it. But no, it's one of those things where like the Matrix has always kind of been there, or the Wachowskis. They've been there kind of since the get-go for me.
Yeah, oh yeah. Once I learned about the Wachowskis, I just always latched onto it. It's one of the things that I'm actually surprised it took me this long to get through all their movies.
That's why this was so important to talk about this in person.
It's almost like
I was Scary Tales.
Yes, exactly. It's almost like I was doing something subconsciously, like you said with David Lynch, where you want to meter them out as long as possible because you know how hard they're going to get.
You don't want to blow through it all at once.
I just want to. I'm sure Zach will have brought this up when we go back to recording distance, but I just want to say that on the back of this unopened box of Tank, who kind of does look like Neo.
If you're a kid and you don't know what it is you're looking at, that could be Neo.
Yeah, it's a tank with a big gun and
from the end, when he shoots, who's the guy? You know who he is, the actor.
Joe Pantoliano?
Yes.
Yeah, when he stops him from unplugging
Spoiler
Trinity.
alert.
Yeah. But it says on the back of the box, look for assortment 3. I'm guessing this is assortment 2 because in this... Is that garbage truck? We got
oil truck.
Oh, oil truck. We got the great... whenever we record in person, we get the great background noise. But this assortment seems to be assortment 2 because you have, like, Trinity 2
I
and stuff
remember
like that.
at the mall in Florida, walking by EB Games, and they had the Sentinel. And I'm not kidding you. The Sentinel was, like, in a box as big as, like, Rob's laptop.
Oh, geez.
It was a hunk of plastic.
Man. Okay.
And it's still out there. Like, I've been to toy shows and I've seen it before. And it's not even that expensive. It's just one of those... Because, again, The Matrix is one of those weird franchises that, like, it's kind of like it needs, like, repairing.
Gotcha.
Like, Matrix collectibles aren't really... Because, A, no one's ever gotten the license, really, to do, like, modern incarnations of stuff. Mm-hmm. And plus, it's really... We're still in the point where the culture where everybody thinks 2/3 of the franchise is a disaster.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the problem. That's kind of the weird thing that the marketing department for Resurrections, maybe in the next 3 months, they'll have done that.
Yeah.
The weird... I used to write, like, tense there a couple times. Is the idea that they still... Warner Bros. Has done nothing to rehabilitate those sequels.
Exactly.
And I think that's going to work against them when this 4th film comes out.
Yeah, I could definitely
because
see
people
that.
still it's weirdly, like, so much as we laugh about Blank Check, but when they did the Wachowskis, David goes into a huge thing just kind of explaining that, like, you're stupid for not liking these.
Okay.
Don't get mad at them because you can't understand what they're telling you.
That's a great point. And I'm sure I talked about that with Reloaded because I think Reloaded is grossly misunderstood with what it's going for. And even what things are in the movie, you know? Like, I'm sure we spent at least 40 minutes on the orgasm cake scene. Because
when are we going to cancel? I hope 2 weeks ago that we canceled them. Because that is misogynistic. To give a woman sex cake.
Sex cake. So
hashtag sex cake.
I'm finding more on the back of this box that I find thrilling. It says it says, you know, check out all of the figures from The Matrix, and then in quotations, the film. So it's from The Matrix, the film.
Well, think about it. Like, when this came out, like, the idea of doing action figures off an R-rated film was kind of a dead... Like, they didn't do that as much.
Okay,
This is 10 years after, like, RoboCop,
yeah, that's some
Terminator.
Weird, like, 80s and 90s stuff.
Probably the last, like, major R-rated film that got action figures was probably, like, Starship Troopers.
Okay,
anything after that was kind of like we were doing yesterday, 5 months ago, with Candyman, when Rob was laughing at me for looking up toys of Candyman. Yep. Where, like, it was more like an amalgamation collection of previous, like, adult, like, movies that would get toys.
Yeah.
This was well before we live in a world now where just... Everything that has even, like, just to say, this is for this reference. Mm-hmm. In the same box downstairs that I found a tank, there's also a Valerian K-Tron figure.
K-Tron. Okay. I still have not seen Valerian.
Yes.
I saw the opening sequence and it angered me so much when they played David Bowie.
Yes.
that I turned
and for those of you who know both Jupiter Ascending and Valerian, the City of a Thousand Worlds, the only difference is one is Channing Tatum and the other one is, like, Dane DeHaan.
Dane DeHaan, yes.
And instead of Mila Kunis, it's Cara Delevingne.
Oh, okay. You
know what's really, just real quick, not to get into toy stuff, but, like, talking about stuff, for Valerian, they only released 3 figures. K-Tron, Dane DeHaan, and Cara Delevingne. Okay. And the Cara Delevingne figure is, like, insane to find.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm not sure it's a bunch of nerds that just want a figure of her because she's, like 15 years old and she's super attractive.
Sure.
But, like that was, like, I remember when this came out, like, you could not find, I got this for, I think this was, like, a Toys R Us going out of business sale fine for like $7.
Sure.
But I remember even when these originally came out, because this sat on the shelves for a while, and the same thing goes for Tank. That's the reason why Tank was still available like 2 years later, because nobody wants a Tank. R.I.P. Tank.
Tank is the one that doesn't come back in the sequel.
He survives the film, but does not come back.
Because what is he? Tommy Chong's son or something like that?
I forget.
We did this. Okay, I might cut this out because we did this 3 weeks ago. But yeah, to be on the toy tangent for a little bit longer, I love that it says on the back of this box, with a picture from the first Matrix film, of Neo and Agent Smith flying towards each other, it says, look for Neo versus Smith 2-pack. Pack spelled P-A-K, which I like.
They're trying to be edgy, Rob. This is 2000.
And there's clearly room for the C as well. They could have fit it. It's not like they were losing space. But then it says, look for Assortment 3. And in Assortment 3, we are apparently going to get martial arts Neo and Morpheus. One of my favorite scenes from the original Matrix. I love the, I know Kung Fu. Show me. That's a great moment. Real world Neo and Trinity. So you're going to get, Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss in rags, I bet. Dozer and Epoch. Those guys. And then this is the one that really stood out to me. Mouse with the lady in red. I like that they make the lady in red as a figure, and I also like they pair it with Mouse, because if I remember correctly, there's a scene in the first Matrix where Mouse is like, yeah, you like the lady in red? I made her. You want to fuck her? You want to fuck her in the Matrix? It's very skeezy, and I like that they're making an action figure about that. So
it should be noted that based on, again, this is not comprehensive, but there's a toy history website I go to. Mm-hmm. The same company, it's N2 Toys. Yes. Yep. They made Agent Smith, Cypher, Morpheus, Neo with the trench coat, Switch. Everybody's favorite character from the Matrix.
Not
Switch.
Like this, yes.
Trinity, Mr. Anderson, where he has his mouth, closed over.
Okay, yeah, that's on the back of this one in Series 2. Okay, we're in Series 2 now.
Yes. And then you have Neo, okay, this is really funny. They have the Tank action figure, they have it listed as Neo.
So you are not alone.
I wasn't wrong.
Even the adults think that this is Neo. It kind of does look like Keanu Reeves. I mean, he's got that drugged out face. You see that?
And to the kid, who would you know? Neo versus Agent Smith, the Sentinel, and then Trinity, in the famous in air pose.
Okay.
But I told you, man, that Sentinel, that is a great figure.
Sentinels are cool.
That's just a freaking. This kind of made me angry last night when I looked at. After everybody left last night, I looked at Matrix 4 stuff, and we'll promise we'll get back to Jupiter Ascending. I want to talk about the Spice Melange.
Yes.
And Eddie Redmayne giving the performance of a lifetime.
Go!
Oscar winner Eddie Redmayne. Yes. This is his Norbit. He was, like I said, this is his Norbit. Yes. It genuinely is.
Oh yeah. We'll get to that. We will get back to. Okay, so Zack was angry at a toy last night.
Not a toy.
And
it's still for the Matrix Resurrections.
Okay, which I haven't seen any of yet.
Well, there's only a couple. I don't want anything about this movie. I want to go into it as blind as possible.
That's a good call.
Part of me doesn't even want to look at the trailers, except for the fact the internet will ruin it for me.
Sure.
There's a Sentinel. And I'm like, no. I'm like, we've done this. The war of the machines is over.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the whole point of the film, is that the war's over for the time being.
Yes. Isn't that the last scene with the architect and the Oracle, where it's like, you figured out how to beat it, you broke the cycle.
It's like, well, how long is this peace going to last? As long as it can. Which is the answer to any conflict in life. How long is it going to last? As long as it can.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where those movies are so brilliant.
Yeah.
And then, this is where I hope Lana is clever enough to realize you gotta play into this. You gotta play into the, especially for people that made Speed Racer and Cloud Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
That you bring that element into, nothing, again, I have a feeling that, if they nail this, it's going to be the Last Jedi syndrome again. Where stupid people can't recognize how clever it is.
Okay.
It's the idea of killing Snoke halfway through, and the idiots on the internet being mad because, what's his backstory? They're too stupid to figure out his backstory. It's no, that's the point. Yes. Snoke did not matter because he's just a literal carbon copy of what you've seen before. And I hope this film is clever enough to delve into that, this film revolutionized Hollywood, and we're being forced to go back to it.
Yeah.
I hope we get that, but at the same time, though, I really hope that they're clever enough to mask it in a way. Sugarcoat the red pill.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay. I think I'm with you. I want to go in as blind as possible.
But the internet will ruin it.
Of course.
The internet will ruin
inevitable. Yeah, it's inevitable that someone's going to, be on the hate train for this. They're on the hate train now. I'm sure there's some people out there that are on it. But yeah, I haven't even been trying to see anything about it, that type of thing. Even when we did Candyman, what was it? You were like, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, isn't he going to be young Morpheus? And I was like, maybe? So yeah. So anything else about the Wachowskis in general, 200th episode? Do we need to cover anything else at the beginning before we get into Jupiter Ascending? Which, of course, will get us to more of the Wachowskis. But any other toys we need to discuss?
Oh my god! This I didn't see the original Sentinel from the Matrix line. This one was from the Reloaded merchandise launch. This thing is like a beast.
Wow!
It's like a giant just box of plastic.
Yeah, that's as big as those dinosaur things we were seeing in Target.
Well, this was dense, but this is also dense plastic. It's not like hollow plastic. This is like you could like beat a small child to death with this. Like, it's literally just a hunk of plastic.
Or maybe in terms of the cinema audience will understand, if you had this hanging above your bed and it fell on you, you would die in your sleep type of thing. Maybe you wake up and you get the few moments of feeling the blood rushing from your skull, but then you're done for.
Interesting that the original The Matrix one only goes for about like $30, yet the Matrix Reloaded one goes for like $200.
Oh, wow.
And I'm almost certain that like it's maybe slightly bigger. But it's the same thing at the end of the day.
Yes.
We're going to take the Patreon money and spend it on a... Don't tell Ben, we already did this. We did this now. And we're going to tell Ben last week that we spent it on a $200 Sentinel figure.
Yes. We need Patreon money. So everybody go and support the podcast because we need a giant paperclip. We need a giant Sentinel action figure. And I'll use the remaining like $20 or $15 to get my Coraline action figure. And Ben will have nothing from this. I don't think Ben wants any action figures. No, he's going to get the...
We'll get him a Spider-Man toy from Spider-Man
call.
No Way Home. We'll go find one of the really small ones for like $7 and we'll get that to him.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize that this is... Not only is this 110 days away, this is multiple series away. We have a whole
October technically hasn't even begun yet.
Yeah! Oh jeez, okay, this this is crazy.
Rob, just like imagine the Tenet turnstile sequence, but imagine that point where John David Washington is watching Kenneth Branagh with Elizabeth Debicki, and then imagine you have another version of Kenneth Branagh show up, confusing that Kenneth Branagh, which even more further perplexes John David Washington.
Yes, we hope everybody can follow us. Maybe, actually, this might be perfect for the Wachowskis and for Jupiter's Ending. Maybe people need to listen to this episode of ours multiple times to really understand what we're talking about and where it lies in the timeline. So... I guess the place I want to start with Jupiter Ascending. Sorry. I got to get Jupiter, because that's a great way to say it. The flop aspect.
Oh, God.
The money aspect. From what I found, this cost somewhere between $175 and $200 million. And that's, as always, as we say, just production budget. If this movie had marketing, maybe as early as 2012, whether it just be a Comic-Con appearance or something like that, that's a lot of money they dumped into this. And it makes about $180 million at the box office. Worldwide, $180 million. So this movie probably lost an insane amount of money. It's almost a certainty that it's lost an insane amount of money. So I didn't look up anything like we did for back in Monstober or something. Do you know like the drop off for this? Because the word of mouth, from what I remember, was not good, right?
Oh, no, this is like a toxic word of mouth movie. Like it was like non-existent.
Even me not seeing this, I was hearing the Eddie Redmayne stuff and how his performance is so bad and wild and out there and stuff like that. Channing Tatum's a dog person. Nobody told me that there were elephant and owl people. And nobody told me that Gugu Mbatha-Raw plays a deer person. Apparently the woman with the giant ears was supposed to be a deer, which I didn't get until looking at the cast, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw's credited as a deer person.
Still the greatest name ever for
Oh, absolutely.
Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
I mean, I don't know why it took so long for people to start figuring this out. Maybe we needed like 100 years of movies and cinema to get this to start happening. But who's called James Dean anymore? Who's John Wayne? Give us your Gugu Mbatha-Raws. Give us your Yahya Abdul-Mateens. Like these crazy names are what we need. I guess the transition period between old school actors like Rock Hudson and and now we have maybe Willem Dafoe, where he's just like, I don't want to be William, I want to be Willem. But I'm glad we're at this place where we now have these crazy names. Even Sparky, his real name is Kick Gurry. Kick Gurry. That's a crazy name.
We've all been there, right, Rob? We've all been there.
Yes. So whenever I break into the acting scene, I can't wait to get to choose what my SAG name is going to be.
All right. So what happened was this film opened opened with, okay, it's not going to tell him. Okay, $18 million.
Okay. Not
18.
Was that weekend or like opening day?
That was opening weekend.
Oh shit!
And then the very next, it came in third place.
Okay.
Came in third place behind
February. Jeez.
Yes, it came in third place behind number one was SpongeBob: A Sponge Out of Water, and you're gonna love this, Rob. American Sniper, which was in its 7th weekend of release.
Oh god!
American Sniper might be literally the worst film ever made.
I still have not seen it because I have no desire to see it.
And in its second weekend, it dropped 50%.
Okay. I know we've probably said this many times, but I always bring it up whenever American Sniper comes up. I remember reading a Facebook post from you, I think it was Facebook, where you wrote, like, this is my review of American Sniper. I liked it better when it was called The Hurt Locker. It's still one of my favorite reviews of a movie ever.
Oh, God, American Sniper is such a mess. It's America's feel-good war film.
Is that the fake baby movie? Okay.
That's not even the worst part of the movie. You don't think, like, that's embarrassing. Like, that movie, it goes to show that Clint Eastwood doesn't care. And that's not even the worst part of the movie. The worst part of the movie is, like, I knew the story of Chris Kyle going in before that was in the movie.
Okay.
And, like, the movie ends, because you know that's coming. It's a fait accompli.
Yes.
And, like, it's his wife, after everything he's gone through, he's like, I'm taking my buddy here to the shooting range because he has PTSD. And his wife looks at him, the guy's, like, literally sitting there, like, he's doing, like, a Beavis from Beavis and Butt. He's like, fire, fire, fire. I'm just like, oh, my God, are you kidding me right now? And she's like, because obviously, like, she has, like, a southern drawl.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know, Chris. This don't seem like a good idea. We have a litter of children with another on the way. And he's like, honey, it's my right as an American to fire a gun. And then, like, next thing you know, we get, like, the text over the screen where, like, Chris Kyle was murdered by trying to do the... I'm just like, oh my God.
This is what I
hate
I didn't
everything.
realize I've been missing all the times that we record on Skype with our cameras off. When Zack does voices, he does a great dead face with them as well.
I hate American Sniper. I remember, it's funny. I don't know if that book sold at the yard sale. I bought the novel and I hate that so much.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like, the most...
I never saw it.
It's such a boring movie.
Someone once told me that maybe, I know it's a fake baby, I've heard that, but I feel like someone told me once there's a scene where, like, Bradley Cooper almost drops it and they kept it in the movie.
Probably.
Or something like that.
Because the story behind it is, like, that was a big thing that, like, back in the day, film Twitter really got, like, hot and bothered over with the fake baby.
Okay.
It was like, oh, like, the story was like, oh, they had, like, a real baby, didn't work. They had, like, another scene, they had another fake baby, didn't work, or a real baby, and it's like, oh, it didn't work. He's like, just get a fake one! Clint Eastwood's just sitting there, like, I don't know, like, gnawing on, like, I don't know, like a door or something. He's like, just get another one. They're like, okay, we went through the first 2 live babies we have left. They're like, I don't know, go to Dollar Tree and get one.
The last Clint Eastwood movie I saw was with my dad in theaters, was The Mule.
Did you?
Yeah, because my dad wanted to see it.
Well, of course.
So I was like, yeah, sure. And there's a great scene in The Mule wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't, like, the worst thing I've ever seen. Bradley Cooper's in that as well. But there's a wonderful part where, like, somebody, like, Clint Eastwood's granddaughter or something, like, says something about her phone and the internet, and Clint Eastwood grumbles. He's like, internet. And it's really funny.
Yeah, but Jupiter...
we got
Box office, this was a flop. That was the point of all this.
Yes.
It was a flop, like, in a way that, like... I don't know where it ranks in Wachowski stuff. I would assume it was worse than Speed Racer. I don't know how it compares to
I didn't
Cloud
look into
Atlas.
any of that. And Cloud Atlas, I think, lost a lot. But also on the release of this, something I didn't know until I did my research was that apparently... I found some corroboration for this from a few outlets, and the most telling article was from Variety. This movie premiered, in air quotes, at what they called a secret screening at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yes. Oh, God, I remember this. I remember. Okay,
this was wild.
This was back when film Twitter. This is before Trump. This is before Twitter. Twitter's always been a cesspool. Mm-hmm. But before Trump, Twitter was at least entertaining.
Okay.
It wasn't nauseating. And I remember when this happened, film Twitter got so angry.
Okay.
Because they're like, how dare you try to suck the air out of the room with this?
Yes, yeah.
And that's why I think the critics were especially more the film bloggers. I don't know what, like, Peter Travers would say, like, you know, like the ones that are, like, bought and paid for. I remember, like, the film bloggers were very, very angry about it. Because they were all there, and there was, like, words going around, I think, that morning, like, on Twitter. Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, really? Jupiter Ascending's going to premiere here after, like, being delayed, like, 8 months? Mm-hmm. And then it happened, and they were so... On top of the fact that it wasn't particularly a movie made for these sort of people, they went into it hostile.
Okay.
And it just made them mad. And I think, I guess, remember, that's what made me realize. It's weird now. Like, it's... Again, film bloggers are always going to film blog, but, like, YouTube now is kind of, like, really... perverted a mess.
Yes.
But it's funny you mentioned. I completely forgot about that until this moment. But the film bloggers were angry about this. They were very. It was like, how dare you?
Sure.
Sundance is for small films that can't get a platform, and Warner Brothers. I think they didn't blame the Wachowskis. They blamed Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So, I'm glad you knew that about it, because I didn't find that. That's more your sphere. But I thought this was wild to read about a secret screening. And of course
it wasn't announced. Because I think PR knew if they announced this, it would get even worse thing.
Yes.
So it was the idea of, like, if they kept it underground and let it kind of trickle out, it wouldn't do as much. Again, the hostility wouldn't be that on the surface, but it did.
Yes.
Like, it was there.
Yes. And so when I read this, I was like, I'm intrigued. What is a secret screening, Apparently, it was invitation only, and they tried as hard as they could to make sure no critics got an invitation. And from what I read, allegedly, many seats were empty, and many people walked out of the theater during the screening.
Well, that was the thing. It was the idea. Again, you think about your Sundance crowd. You don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But they wanted to create hype for it. It was a gamble. It didn't pay off, but it was a gamble.
Yes.
That's at least audacious. Again, that's like the Batman v Superman of marketing. They rolled the dice, and it did not. They tried, but it didn't work.
Yes, absolutely.
Just real quick, the show, not to bring us back to the collector's market, but because there's very few collectibles in regards to Jupiter Ascending, unfortunately, no toy line.
No Rocket Boots toys?
No Dragon Man wearing a leather jacket.
That would be cool. I wish they made toy lines where the Rocket Boots were interchangeable between the action figures, because, as we'll get into, everybody in the universe should have Rocket Boots. It's like Channing Tatum has the only pair or something.
They're collectibles. They're available. It's like the Marty McFly, when Nike made the real, self, tying, shoes.
Yes.
In 2015, they made 15 of them, and I think it's a combination between a basketball player, a rapper, and Elon Musk bought them all.
Yep. Absolutely.
But this is the thing, though. To get engaged and show you how dismal. Oh God, there's not even a cult fan base in this movie.
It's just us now. It seems.
And pretty much, Jupiter Ascending, an original poster from that movie, double-sided, the real McCoy. I'm showing you all right now. This is what it's going for. Buy it now, not even an auction. You could get an authentic Jupiter Ascending poster.
27 by 40, yeah.
And Rob, please tell the audience what's the going rate for a
$4.49 plus $6.65 shipping.
So for a crisp $10 bill, you could own a piece of Wachowski's history forever.
Jeez, I'm tempted.
That is called nobody cares.
Exactly.
Nobody cares. Pretty much they're giving away a poster.
And that's such a bummer after seeing it, Yeah, that's
to be fair, it's also extremely uninspired marketing.
Yeah.
This is it's literally marketing is bland when the movie poster is the DVD cover.
And just like you said, earlier, I thought it was just some YA nonsense, it was going to be romance based and stuff like that, which it definitely was not overall. So I figured we were just going to keep on this train. Let's get all the negative stuff out of the way first, because I have so much positive stuff to say about this movie. So I want to hold off on it. Eddie Redmayne might be our transition.
Eddie Redmayne in this movie, I don't know what his shtick is as an actor. Do we know anything what he's like in his personal life? Because it feels like in every movie he's doing something specifically unsettling.
Yes.
Whether, because I've only ever seen him really in this, and of course Harry Potter.
Fantastic Grindelwalds and Where to Find Them.
Yes.
In what his shtick in that as
autism.
Autism. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say Newt Salamander is autistic. That's his shtick in that movie, and I hate him in that movie. I've only seen some of where he's Cumberbatch is Alan Turing. He's Stephen Hawking in whatever movie that is that I can't remember the name of. I've seen some of that, and I didn't like him in it. I really don't like Eddie Redmayne. I've seen the movie where he's in the wheelchair or whatever, and he's Stephen
Hawking.
There's another one, a smaller one from earlier on, where he's also in a wheelchair, and I saw that. I don't remember what it's called though, and that one's not too good. I've never really
Girl, where he plays
I've seen some of that. Eddie Redmayne, I've never really liked. So I kind of want to hold off on Eddie Redmayne because I got things to say.
Rob,
but
he plays the voice of somebody named Ryan in Thomas and Friends.
So he gets some points in your book? We'd have to hear how he does.
I don't know. Rob knows, animated Thomas, not model Thomas, is a crime.
Yes.
Did you see another version of Thomas?
I did not see.
And it's even more.
You need to. You are my only outlet for Thomas information.
Somehow they took animated CG Thomas and they made it worse. It's imagine if somebody sat there. It's the equivalent of having the Holocaust oh god, the concentration camp
Yes.
thing, someone starts urinating on them. It's like, oh god.
Yes.
It's just not like, somehow we're making this even more egregious.
So I found a quote that I thought you'd enjoy, Zach. It's from a British film
For the
critic.
way, I'm not equating, like, the tragedy of the Holocaust with Thomas the Tank Engine. That sounded horrible. I'm not equating the two. I'm just trying to give an analogy of somehow we're just making this, like, infinitely worse is, like art. Like, we're degrading art.
Yes.
I'm not comparing to one is infinitely worse than the other.
It's a good qualifier. I'll see if I cut that out or not.
And Thomas is the one that's worse.
Yes.
What? I'm kidding.
So from, I believe, British film critic Mark Kermode, I didn't read his whole review, but I read some excerpts because he was particularly scathing. And he wrote in his review that this movie contains, quote, ridiculous dialogue that George Lucas would have thrown in the bin. What do you think about that? I think after seeing this movie, I don't completely agree with that. There's some weird dialogue in this movie, but I don't think it really is all Mila Kunis's dialogue that I think is the stuff that should be thrown
There's
out.
a lot of nonsense in this.
But so much of it is that jargon that I'm accepting because they're trying to just immerse us
But
here.
the problem is, like, it goes back to the famous, like, Mark Hamill thing where, like, they actually have the audition tapes. I think it's like in the 4-hour, like, Empire Dreams documentary. Mm-hmm. Where he's being interviewed, like, in 2003. He's like, I can still remember at the audition getting this line. Rob won't start the clip. I'll say it to him.
Okay.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, their defense can't be that much. Blah, blah, blah. He goes on this entire shtick. And then, like they show the footage, and it cuts back to Mark Hamill. And he's like, I'm sitting there in 1976. And I'm just like, who the hell talks like this?
Sure.
And there's the infamous quote, too, by, what's his name, Harrison Ford, where he's like, George, you can type this stuff, but you can't get people to talk this shit. You can't. And I think there's a level of just, like, you have to have the actors sell it.
Yep, absolutely.
Is the dialogue maybe inherently bad? Maybe not. It's the fact that, like, Sean Bean does not have... but again, he's the Lord of the Rings, and he's able to sell it.
Sure.
So once again, I think it's the Wachowskis not being able to convey... Again, I think that's what... They're probably closer on the spectrum to Lucas, and, like, they have the vision.
Yep.
They just have a very hard time translating to people who don't have it.
Yes, absolutely.
And you have to be blessed with actors that get it or don't get it.
100%.
And I think that's why, like, you have to give a lot of credit to Keanu, Carrie Ann, and Lawrence Fishburne.
Morpheus has a lot to say in that first movie, absolutely.
Which is fascinating considering that he's not in this movie.
Yes.
Even though the character might be in this,
it's not Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, that's a travesty. As far as we know now, I think it's a travesty. We'll see how it goes.
Maybe he dodges a bullet. Like, this point, Keanu Reeves is kind of Teflon.
Yes.
Keanu Reeves has been in so much garbage.
Exactly.
On top of being
the internet loves him and will always love him type of thing.
But they didn't love him, though, for a while. For a while there, Keanu Reeves was doing... Remember, like, right after The Matrix, he did, what was it, Scanner Darkly, where it was, like, the weird, like, anime movie?
Yes,
like,
with Robert Downey Jr.,
Everyone's like, the fuck is this shit? They're like, that's when Keanu goes through these periods where, like, he's loved, and then, like, everybody wants nothing to do with him. Remember, first, he did the weird Eli Roth movie where, like, he, like, has sex with the two, like, girls, and, like, they threaten to, like, expose him for rape. Knock, which is on the spreadsheet. I've had that on the spreadsheet since the get-go. And I rewatched it recently. That is an insane movie. It's Anna de Armas.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
It's like early Anna de Armas before she became, like, this weird, like, celebrity, like, ingenue.
Yes, absolutely. If anyone can hear, we are getting the wonderful serenade of Zach's neighbor mowing their lawn. That's what we get when we record in person. I'll see if I can noise filter this part.
Next door in the lawn, so we just scream over the lawnmower.
We should be recording while you are mowing your lawn. I'm just following you while you're mowing your lawn. So yeah, the George Lucas dialogue thing, I kind of get where that's coming from, but I don't fully agree with it. We'll get into that more when I talk about what I like about this movie. But of course, as always, whenever it comes up, we have to mention the good old Razzies, because this movie was nominated at the Razzies for Worst Picture, Worst Actor for Channing Tatum, Worst Actress for Mila Kunis, Worst Supporting Actor for Eddie Redmayne, Worst Director, and Worst Screenplay, both for the Wachowskis. It only wins, if you call it that, one of those categories, and it is Eddie Redmayne for Worst Supporting Actor.
Thank God. That's at least quasi-deserved.
Okay, so here's the thing.
You know me. I would normally blame the directors.
Sure.
But in this case, no. Eddie Redmayne has a shtick, and he rides it hard.
You're not wrong there, and also from what I've read, in interviews, Eddie Redmayne has admitted that he gave a bad performance. I don't know whether that's him just trying to fall into the fire to ride it or something.
He's falling on a sword.
Exactly. But now, after seeing this movie, here's my hot take. I kind of loved Eddie Redmayne in this role. I loved how fucking bonkers it was. I loved how goofy... I don't know, it kind of fit with the movie, and I think because The movie doesn't say it explicitly, but I am totally of the camp, I don't know if there is a camp, I might be the only camper in the tent, that the implication is that Channing Tatum ripped out Eddie Redmayne's throat at some point. That's what made Channing Tatum lose his wings, and that's why Eddie Redmayne talks like that. So I think it's set up, I think it's established, whether it be, a quasi-established, but man, I was totally engrossed by Eddie Redmayne every single time he was on screen. So Zach, are you saying that you're in the opposite? Do you actually think, it might not be a good performance, but it's a performance I love? That might be the best way to say it, I think. I don't know if I'm going to get hate mail or something from this.
No, no. I would not trade that performance for the world.
I'm with you.
No, again, it goes back. Again, this is the thing that's weird about Rob. Rob has these moments of clarity where I'm like, Rob, literally take out Eddie Redmayne and replace it with men, women, and children.
See, but Eddie Redmayne is not doing anything offensive.
Yes, he
to
is.
Me as a speech. No, not at all. Not at all.
This is my job in life.
Go! It's great.
It's the hushed whisper until it's not. It's the
yes, that's a really great way.
But like
to
I
put
said,
it.
this is where I don't know if it's brilliance or not. Like the Wachowskis, like you and I, they're just gonna be probably cackling, just being like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah,
this is schlock. Like that's what this is. You know what this is? This is $200 million schlock.
Absolutely.
And it's delightful.
Yes, 100%.
It's delightful. But we know Eddie Redmayne does a goofy voice in every movie. Like I said, I love The Crimes of Johnny Depp.
Yes.
I love that movie. Yet he is so boring in that movie.
100%.
And he does that, and that's clearly he is asking to do that because nobody else in the movie is doing a very specific. What would you even call that? Just like a. Oh God! Like
affect?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
affect?
I guess that's the best thing. I guess in the moment.
I guess the closest thing from what I remember, the first Fantastic Beasts is Dan Fogler as the Muggle, I guess, where he's doing the weird laugh, like the awkward. The awkwardness of being in this wizarding world. That's the closest thing we have to
and
what Eddie Redmayne's
that's one
doing.
moment. And that's one moment. And Eddie Redmayne's just acting like a goofball. And I feel like, again, we all know J.K. Rowling is equally insane.
Yes, of course.
And the internet weirdly has gone from loving her to like God, definition of what's that Rick and Morty thing where they sit there light? Oh God, they put people on the balloons and they cut the balloons and they fly off.
Oh yeah.
They set them off as tributes to the giant heads in the sky.
Yes.
That's what Twitter has done to J.K. Rowling.
Absolutely.
But I could see this goes back to again Wachowski's J.K. Rowling. I think Eddie Redmayne is a very probably quirky actor. I have no idea what he's like in real life. But quirky quirky acting personality. And he probably just has these ideas and say, go with it.
Yeah, I could see that. Because
that's the thing. Nobody else in any of these movies, everybody else is for the most part, in Jupiter Ascending, Channing Tatum is confused, Sean Bean's confused, Gugu Mbatha-Raw semi-confused. Mila Kunis doesn't know where she is.
Not at
Somebody
all.
kidnapped her for a year and she made a movie.
Yes.
That's talking about missing. That is real missing time. She's disappeared. She had to go use the bathroom one day. She wakes up a year and a half later and she's like, why am I being interviewed about a planet?
in that?
She's like, why are we talking about a planet? And I'm like,
oh, that'd be hilarious if she doesn't remember making this movie and someone's interviewing about it. Be like, what was it like working on Jupiter Ascending, doing all those green screen stunts? And she's like, do you mean Mercury Rising? I was not in that movie.
But I still like the idea that, what was it? I saw this in IMDb, which we all know is the bastion of knowledge. And, Channing Tatum was asked, during a Reddit AMA, what was the point of all this? And he's like, great question.
Yes. So I have to say, I love the Eddie Redmayne stuff. I love a lot of the not dinosaur, the dragon man with the leather jackets. I love that stuff.
The best part is, this is the thing about the Wachowskis, where I think this is where I think, once again, they are, much like how we talked about, the Jordan Peele thing.
Yes.
They're at a point where they also reached, Lucas level of just, I do what I want. And when the Matrix came out, they had to refine their ideas. What was it? Joel Silver was the one that believed in them in those days.
Yeah.
And he refined them, being he pushed back and no, this is not going to work. You have to think about it, I want it to be yours, but you have to make something digestible for people.
Yes.
And he made them refine. Again, pressure makes diamonds. The problem is that by the time you get to the Matrix Revolutions, and especially your Speed Racer, all this, they were beyond reproach.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what this is. This is the ultimate definition of beyond reproach.
Yeah.
This is Lucas just doing whatever he wanted. Or at least Lucas had the oh God, the business acumen to be I know as long as I do the right things, the merchandise will sell. That's all that matters.
Sure.
This is a commercial. This is a 2-hour commercial that will produce a profit.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it has to make 8-year-olds want to buy toys. That's all I have to do. This had to make a profit in of itself.
Yes. 100%.
It had nothing else. Again, there were no Jupiter Ascending bed sheets, unfortunately.
I'm just noticing, because I'm looking at it the first time, on the back of the Blu-ray it says, includes 7 earth-shattering extras. I like editorializing your extras on the back of the Blu-ray. It doesn't even say what the 7 are. It lists 2 of them. I thought I was going to get to read what the 7 earth-shattering extras were. But it just gives titles of 2 of them, it seems.
Apparently Alonso Duralde, which I kind of remember his name back in film Twitter days.
Okay.
Exciting and enthralling.
I would agree with that. I would say exciting and enthralling. I probably wouldn't put that near the top of the list of
I wouldn't
things.
say that exciting. Enthralling, yes. Exciting, no.
Maybe
I was never excited watching this.
Enthralling is
I was
good
confused
with
and
intrigue.
enthralled.
Definitely. Like a morbid curiosity,
yes.
I think, which I love in movies. I mean, everybody knows how much I love Southland Tales, which is morbid curiosity.
Really, Rob had a profound statement to open this episode with. This truly is what Cinemati's... I know Rob and I have very unique ideas as to what Cinemati's the podcast is. And to this day, it's kind of a war of attrition between us as to who's winning. But, this is... There's a reason why Batman v Superman... You had a major film studio bet everything on this.
Oh, yeah.
And it backfired.
Yeah.
You have Universal Pictures has The Mortal Engines. Let's just give somebody who has no experience $200 million and sees what happens. Mm-hmm. And this is the opposite side of that. Let's give people who have more experience than maybe anybody in, filmmaking... $200 million and see after they've had numerous bombs.
Exactly.
See what happens.
Yes.
Let's roll the dice again.
Really, they've had nothing but bombs since The Matrix.
Well, think about think of all the movies they've directed, not counting V for Vendetta.
Sure. Yep.
You have what was that? Bound.
Bound is their first 1996.
Matrix is.
Yep.
Speed Racer. Yep. Clad Atlas.
Yep.
Jupiter Ascending.
Exactly.
So out of those. What, 2 out of 5 were genuine successes?
Yeah, so what, the original Matrix, are we talking financially? And Reloaded, because that had...
Was Bound successful? I don't know about
I actually didn't look that up. After watching Bound, it was one of the things where I'm like, I can't believe nobody talks about this movie
I think
anymore.
It made money.
It
was in the black. It was
couldn't have cost much.
But I think between rentals and just grosses and the box office, I think it got into the black very easily.
Yes. So Wikipedia says the budget was $6 million, says box office was $7 million, but you're absolutely right. Once the rentals, and once the Matrix hits, and people are waiting 4 years for the next Matrixes, they're going to go, let's see what else the Wachowskis did.
Height of Blockbuster, things like that. Yeah. Like I said, it's weird. Again, we hold them in such high regard. Even say what you want about Lucas. Like everybody now Lucas is in a weird spot where now people kind of realize the genius that was there. It's like, it's like, which is worse? A madman making movies we don't understand, or a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation making films that we don't understand?
Yes.
People realize, okay, maybe we shouldn't have crapped on a human being for something we didn't like.
Exactly.
You cannot like the art, but you can't hate the artist. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's and we're in a weird spot where, but again, the Wachowskis, weirdly enough, have not fallen into that trap. Yeah. They are still held in extremely high regard.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though they've made film, but think about those, they never made films that their core audience, which is you can fill a phone booth with it, have ever rejected. Like none of their films by... Oh God, the critics have ever been out and out rejected. Even Jupiter Ascending was, even though people did not like it, it was appreciated for just the audacity.
Exactly. And I think that's the base reason I love it. And then digging into it more is just, I'm once again enthralled. It's wildly fascinating.
Well, speaking of bad things, I just want to kind of transition. If you had, we talked about this earlier on IMDb. Which, again, Bastion, it's the true barometer of popularity for cinema. As we know from the top 100, the most popular films of all time are The Shawshank Redemption, The Godfather Part 2, and The Dark Knight.
Sure.
That's the peak of cinematic
You can't argue that,
yeah, exactly. I think Somewhere Fight Club's up there.
Oh, God, yes, of course.
This has a 5.3 out of 10.
Better than I expected for an IMDb ranking.
Okay, this is what I'm going to ask you, Rob.
Let's see.
I'm going to go through a list of comparable movies to Jupiter Ascending.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if you think it's higher than 5.3 or less than that.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah, you already know this one. Valerian, the City of a Thousand Planets. Higher or lower than 5.3?
I'm going to guess it's a little higher.
6.5.
Okay. That's Luc Besson, right?
Yeah,
trying to do Fifth Element again.
Yes,
okay,
the exact same thing. And you have Rihanna in the dance number.
Oh, that's right. I think I've seen that clip. Well, I have not seen that movie. I forgot about that.
Clad Atlas.
That's got to be higher.
7.4.
Ooh, good. Good for Clad Atlas.
Ender's Game.
That's got to be higher.
6.6.
Okay. Oh, that's even higher than Valerian. Okay, that has the
not by much. Not by much, though.
Yeah.
John Carter. Disney's John Carter.
This is the one that I'm going to guess is lower.
Nope, 6.6.
Jesus, really? Zach's getting a phone call. Do you still have a house phone?
It's just cheaper to keep it between the cable and
the
phone line.
Oh, it only rang once, too. Okay.
I have on the do not block thing, so it just automatically.
Gotcha, okay.
Plus, I keep that too. There's like that's good. That's good. I'm always afraid with my mother that something like there might be like a password I have to unlock. But I have to like, number sensitive thing.
Gotcha.
At this point, it would probably cost. I probably pay the same amount just for internet service.
Yes.
So it
just like this movie, Jupiter's Ending. This episode has everything. Landlines, lawnmowers.
I think it's fascinating that Rob might keep this as a blooper or something. Fascinating.
Yes.
All right. John Carter 6.6.
Okay.
I am number 4. Do you remember that from 10 years ago?
Vaguely.
Glowing flashlight hand.
Not Chronicle, right? I remember thinking those were the same movie for a little bit. I'm going to guess higher as well.
6.1.
Okay.
Green Lantern.
Ooh.
Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern.
Ooh.
Hated film.
Yes.
Once again, almost destroyed a film franchise.
Wholly disliked, and even when, what is it, Deadpool, he goes back and shoots himself like when he's reading the script. I want to guess.
Hated across the board. Nobody holds that film in high regard.
I hate to guess it, but I'm thinking it's going to be higher.
Yes. 5.5.
Okay, so by
not by much,
0.2.
but still high.
Okay. And that's not a good movie.
Scarlett Johansson's Ghost in the Shell. A movie that nobody liked.
The whitewashing movie. That's got to be higher.
6.3.
Yeah, that has fans that I imagine would rate that positively.
That literally makes it. Like, I get every single one of these except for that one.
Okay.
And let's keep going because this is fun. Snow White and the Huntsman. Kristen Stewart and Charlize Theron.
Oh God, that exists? That's got to be higher.
6.1.
Okay.
Pacific Rim Uprising, the sequel to a film that was on shaky ground to begin with. That features none of the original.
I'm going to guess that's another little higher one.
5.6.
Okay.
Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters with Jeremy Renner and Gemma Arterton.
Little higher.
6.1.
Whoa, a lot higher than I expected. I thought that was going to be a high 5, not a low 6.
The Dark Tower with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. A movie that has literally been forgotten.
Definitely. And I think very disliked. I'm still, since it's got the Stephen King and the franchise fan base, that's got to be higher.
5.6.
Okay.
Shocking.
Okay.
I would say this is better than at least outside of, I'd say, Cloud Atlas. This film is better than every single one.
I would agree.
It's objectively, nonsense, but it's objectively better nonsense. Like there's no universe where you would put this down and Dark Tower and this would lose. Jeez. Between every single one of these, there's no universe where this is not the more entertaining film.
To me.
Like there's nobody on earth that wouldn't want to watch this over I Am Number 4.
Yep, I would agree. So, like, what's lower than this on IMDb?
Nothing.
Like
Nothing.
Things that nobody knows.
Nothing.
This is the lowest.
In comparable movies, this is it.
Like what? Sound of Thunder maybe is lower.
I don't know. Comparable. Like again, you think about let's see. What's Mortal Engines?
Oh, that's a good question.
Mortal Engines in the City of Bones.
People probably love that.
6.1.
Jesus, that's way too high for Mortal Engines.
This is a better film than Mortal Engines.
100%. 200% better than Mortal Engines.
Can we both say our favorite name of all time? Which would you? I want to have a yelling contest between Eddie Redmayne's character and Stephen Lang's Hester.
I really want Eddie Redmayne as Lord Belfon or whatever the hell he is in this movie to say Hester Shaw. I would love.
How
to
do you
see
say that? Would it be
Hester Shaw? Yes. Yeah, we needed like a showdown between Stephen Lang's Shrike? Is he Shrike in Mortal Engines? And Eddie Redmayne's...
I want you to know, every single one of these comparable movies, even looking at Mortal Engines, has a better IMDb score.
Balaam at Abrasax is what Eddie Redmayne's character name is. We're done. Speaking of that, while I have it up, I thought they were saying Abraxas in the movie till the end when I started to hear Abrasax from other characters, and that's what it's credited as.
Does it matter?
In Mandy, doesn't Linus Roach ask for the horn of Abraxas to summon the Cenobites?
Yeah, but we've gone through this. That's a Jesse Ventura schlock movie from like the 90s.
That's right.
And like since we've recorded that, there's the Joe Bob Briggs commentary that I listened to. Okay. And Cosmo. Oh God, what's his name?
Panini Cosmonaut.
Yes, Panini Cosmonaut has said that he literally got high for a month and just watched horror movies.
Nice.
Panos Cosmatos.
Yes, a good old
one of our favorite names.
Panini Cosmonaut, absolutely. So.
All right, are we gonna transition into good stuff now?
We should do good. Well, I guess
to lukewarm stuff.
Maybe lukewarm
is good too strong of a word.
Good
for
might
this
be too. I think I want to say my biggest problem with this movie, and this is a very personal.
Is that it ends eventually?
Oh well, that is a problem. That there's not two more of them. We couldn't do the trilogy today, Zach.
Can you imagine what the sequel notes were for this?
Oh, it would have.
According to
I want to know what. I want to know what the sister. I want to know what Khalik Abrasix is doing. You know,
Titus. Who Titus married?
Doing?
Maybe he married Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
But my biggest problem with this movie is Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum.
Oh yeah, but you know why? You know why this film got greenlit?
They were the Warner stars of the day. Yeah,
Lana and Andy went to Warner Brothers with this. Gave them a $600. They gave them basically the Jodorowsky's Dune like thing you could genuinely kill a horse with. You can kill an elephant with that book. And they gave him, and the executive was just like, "Fuck no!" And they said, "We got." Apparently, they got.
One of them said, "We want Salvador Dali for $1 million an hour."
But he's dead. We'll make it work.
Yes.
You know who obviously was originally cast for Mila Kunis?
It had to be Natalie Portman. Mm-hmm. Which I would have loved so much more. I know LaShawn and I got into this when we did Black Swan way back in the day. I love Black Swan. My biggest problem with Black Swan is Mila Kunis. Even though she's good in that movie, I just I don't know if I ever talked to Zack about it, I really just dislike Mila Kunis. And I think it's from the history.
The 70s show?
Yeah, the history of her being...
She's the ditz.
Exactly.
She has too much luggage.
The ditz, her being the punching bag as Meg in Family Guy. I hate characters that just get...
Does she even do that anymore?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's still...
Really?
I think it's still
I
her.
heard it was... paid a voice actor.
I think it. I never looked it up because I don't watch Family Guy anymore.
Can't what's his name? Tom Kenny just do a Meg at this point?
Oh sure, Tom Kenny would be able to do a Meg, absolutely. Tom Kenny could do any voice actor, any voice performance.
Have you ever seen a video where someone did I think this was years ago. They went through Tom Kenny's filmography and they're like, we're just gonna go through everything. Can you tell us about these? And they knew that was the gag.
Okay,
and I'd say maybe 2 out of 10. He's like, oh yeah, everything else, he's like, I have no memory of this. he's like, I know this is embarrassing. Like I love everything I do, but just, I'm sorry.
Okay, interesting.
I'm sorry, that's a tangent, but yes I always love it.
I gotta check that out. It reminds me of when they interviewed Cary Elwes when Saw 7 was coming out, and they gave him trivia. They were like, we're gonna explain something. Which Saw movie did it come from? And he got every single one wrong. And at the end of the interview, he's just laughing, and he's like, yeah, I don't care about these movies. But I get why they're cast. Of course, Mila Kunis, she tried to be a bigger movie star. I think was it Apatow, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, she tries to play both comedy and serious. She's trying to branch out into that.
But she's fine in that, though. She does her job.
I hate that movie so much. Oh, I hate that movie.
When that came out, I adored that movie. I literally have not watched it probably in God, that was 2008. I probably not watched it since 2009.
Okay.
But it was I guess I think it's decent enough. Mm-hmm. It's the thing that it was back when Apatow still seemed kind of small.
Sure.
It wasn't when Seth Rogen became the greatest thing on the Apatow went from being a comedy guy to he's now an arbiter of the culture.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Hot off the presses, Mila Kunis' birthday, August 14th. She is 1 day before Ben Affleck's birthday. That is awesome. I did not know that. Okay, good. I just wanted to look at her filmography. But yeah, I think that's when she starts to Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I'm thinking, is when she starts to try and get a little more serious. And then Black Swan is really when I think she...
That was stunt casting, though, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's Aronofsky just being high on himself, just being he does nobody, we're going to peek behind the curtain of Hollywood. Aronofsky, before he goes writing a movie, he does a line of coke.
Yes,
and he's just I'm going to do this. To this day, I know, God, Rock, can you please tell our audience what movie did I tell you at one point I want to do for our 200th anniversary? You told me. I completely forgot about this. Remember when I pitched Jupiter Ascending as our 200th film? You're like, Zach,
God.
You told me you wanted to do Return to Oz.
Okay,
which I have no memory of ever saying.
I think that was a year and a half from the moment you're talking about, so probably 2 years from now.
So I want to make another prediction for our 300th episode, God willing.
Which we don't know when will be. Sometime in 2023, I would guess.
Tentatively. It have to be Mother! Exclamation mark.
We have to get to that eventually.
But that is another one of those just Hollywood has its head up its ass.
Yeah.
And I saw that in theaters.
Oh,
with
that's
my
right.
mother.
That's right.
I tried to convince her to see the new It, and she's like, no.
Okay.
And then, like, she sat through this, and I'm just cackling the entire time. I knew what I was getting involved with.
Yeah.
That was probably the closest I've ever had prior to this podcast. Well, because that was during the podcast. Mm-hmm. But prior to, like, what we just did during last month's over, having somebody in your clutches and deliberately blindsiding them.
Sure, absolutely.
It's magnificent to blind. Like, there's a difference between clutches and then broadsiding somebody.
100%.
One is much more enjoyable.
Yes. Oh man, I would love to do Aronofsky as a director series.
No.
I love
Aronofsky.
We still are at the time of this recording. We still don't have a release date for The Whale with Brendan Fraser, his next movie.
That's a thing.
That is 100% a thing. Brendan Fraser is going to play like
The Whale,
600-pound man because he's eaten himself into like a coma. Oh, not a coma, but like just staying at home, eating himself because earlier in life he chose to leave his family for his gay lover, but then his gay lover dies and he has total remorse about what happened, like all the events, and he just eats himself up to 600 pounds.
This is an Aronofsky thing.
I know, and I'm going to eat it up, man.
This is another you do a bump of coke. Before. That's what he did, Rob. He put it on his knuckles, went, and whatever studio exec he talked to, he pitched that to.
He brought a line for the studio exec as well, you know? I mean, I am so into Requiem for a Dream, The Fountain.
You know what that sounds like, though?
Yeah.
You know what that premise sounds like? That sounds like that's like on the same level of Kevin Smith's Tusk. It's on that same level.
I think that's probably why I like it so much, because I really like Tusk.
This is what makes me so mad about like Hollywood and critics. If Kevin Smith were to announce that, they'd be like, fuck him.
Yeah, you're right.
Aronofsky does it, everyone's just like...
They go, let's...
They do the bump of coke.
Yep,
the movie is the bump of coke.
Yes. But yeah, so Mila Kunis, I just don't care for. And in this role of Jupiter, I don't like it. Would Natalie Portman have been better? That's my question.
No. Natalie Portman Portman is somebody who's somehow duped the culture and thinks she's a good actress.
I agree. I agree as well. She's good in Black Swan, another Aronofsky film, you know, which is a great Aronofsky film, a great movie. I really do like Black Swan. But I was trying to think, who else would have played... Oh, does Zack have an interjection?
I forgot about this.
Okay.
God, I forgot about this. This is another Cinemati.
Okay.
I forgot she was in Oz the Great and Powerful.
Oh.
Like the $250 million Sam Raimi James Franco movie.
She's the Wicked Witch of the West. Look at that.
That's insane.
That is insane. I don't think I would like her in that role at all.
No, she you know what the sad thing is? She tries.
I think that might be why I dislike her.
Whether it lands... She at least tries, which is something you can't say for most actors.
But I think that she's trying almost so hard in these serious roles I've seen her in that it comes across as too hard. She doesn't know what movie she's in. She's trying to take it like, you know, as she's going for an Oscar every time.
Anyways, I don't blame her. She's an actress. If they cast her, it's not on them. If she's wrong for the part, I can't blame her.
Yeah.
She's trying to get work. She's trying to build a career. If they hire her, this goes back, again, that's what I said. It goes back to the director most of the time.
Yep. Even on the DVD cover, I'm looking at her face. She looks like a Madame Tussauds clay sculpture.
That's not okay. That's
touched up and stuff. I'm sure, you know. But
no. This is the fault of the marketing department. Mm-hmm. This is not her fault.
Sure, but still, I'm just saying that I don't think I like Mila Kunis at all. Like casting, all encompassing.
Casting directors should not cast her. Then
I would agree. I would not cast her.
She is an ingenue. Lowercase letters and all that.
Yeah,
but like I can't blame her for trying to advance her career.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. But you know, when we get our Cinemodities production company up and running, I think Mila Kunis is going to be a persona non grata, you know, in any of our movies. But so I wanted to pick your brain on who do you think would have been better, and I think I had a weird thought. I don't know why I thought this, Zach. I've never seen this actress in anything recently. I've only seen her in a handful of things throughout time. But I think the age is wrong. So, you know, we don't have to harp on that, but I think...
Anne Hathaway.
Even weirder.
Oh.
For some reason, while I was watching Jupiter Ascending, like I said, the age is wrong. I know she has to be younger for the whole royalty thing and genetic recurrence. I was kind of thinking that I would love to see Katherine Heigl in this role. That's a strange thought, right?
That's box office poison, though.
I know, but I kind of guess she's definitely box office poison after all those rom-coms with Gerard Butler that, you know, might as well have killed the rom-com or something like that, like The Ugly Truth or whatever. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, Katherine Heigl popped into my head. It's weird, right? I don't know if it'd be better or worse. I'd kind of want to see it, though.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of somebody in the same orbit as like Natalie Portman.
Age
range. I mean.
Exactly, because the age is a big thing. Because Katherine Heigl is definitely older than Mila Kunis. Yes, by a few years. But I don't know. I don't know why she popped in my head.
Hester Shaw.
Hester Shaw. Whoever played Hester Shaw. Whose name I don't
Is The
remember.
Mortal Engines the greatest film the Wachowskis didn't direct?
It might be the greatest film the Wachowskis never directed, but if the Wachowskis directed it, it would be their worst film. So I don't know. Was there anybody you thought of in all the times you've had this movie in the back of your head?
I feel like Mila Kunis in this, because like my favorite line of dialogue from this movie is "But I love dogs."
I've always loved dogs. Yes, which I knew even without seeing this movie.
So clunky.
The fact that I have an uncanny ability to fall for men that don't fall for me. It's like my internal compass needle points straight at Mr. Wrong. Maybe it's my genes. Maybe I have defective engineering too. And if that's the case, is there any way to fix it?
You are royalty now. I'm a splice. You don't understand what that means, but I have more in common with a dog than I have with you.
I love dogs. I've always loved dogs.
I should go, Your Majesty.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
It is a clunky line.
100%.
And that's where, like, she doesn't do it any favors, but she said what was on the page. And that's what her job is.
Yeah.
And the directors can't get a good line out of her for that, or good to take. That's on them, not on her.
100%
I
agree.
don't blame her.
Yes.
Mila Kunis, like I said, she's, like, at best a comedy actress. At best.
Yeah, that's where she found
And to
her
put your
footing
$200
and find
million,
her.
like, sci-fi fantasy film on her shoulders, that's on you, not on her.
Yeah. I think my favorite line in the movie is when she spouts off legal laws to Titus and then ends with, "I also know that if you keep me here against my will, I am legally entitled to file a tax grievance against you." And when Zack and I were watching this movie, that whole interaction ends and it cuts to another scene and I go, "She can file a tax grievance?" And Zack's response immediately was, "That's what you took from that scene?"
Welcome, Your Majesty. I am Titus Abrasax, third primary of the House of Abrasax, and it is my profound honor to meet you.
You are aware that by detaining me without consent, you are in direct violation of Statute 27B/6.
Your Highness is a quick study of the Untitled Code, I see.
I also know that I can file a tax grievance against you unless you take me directly where I want to go.
I'd be delighted to take you wherever you'd like.
I'd like to go home.
Very well.
But yeah, I was like, what would a tax grievance do? I'm like, what is a tax grievance?
But again, this goes back to the George Lucas thing of like, how does the prequel trilogy begin? You have pent-up demand for 15 years for Star Wars.
Yes.
It begins with a trade blockade.
Yes.
And the Jedi Knights are being sent to find a dispute to the trade through space taxes.
I love it. I love how goofy that
Can we
is.
please talk about the moment in this where the movie literally just like in a matter of seconds becomes Brazil.
Oh yeah, we have to get to that. I just googled Jupiter ascending tax grievance. First result, Nassau County property tax reduction. It takes till the second result for a Tumblr page to talk about. Somebody on Tumblr wrote, it's actually called fuckyeahjupiterascending.tumblr.com, and it says, "I also bet Titus filed a massive tax grievance against Balaam in kind." That's fucking somebody else's. We should have this person on the episode. Okay, yes. Now, what I want to say to start this, Zach, is when the bureaucracy scene starts happening, and they have intergalactic advocate Bob to guide them through the system.
Sure. Who disappears,
which I was upset that disappears. I dug that scene. I loved the bureaucracy montage until Terry Gilliam showed up. Because it grinds the montage to a halt, and you're right, it is way too on the nose for the Brazil homage. Which, I think we said before, Zach and I are both not fans of Brazil. Which I really wish I loved Brazil more.
Fun fact, Terry Gilliam has never directed a good film.
I haven't
Objectively
seen all
good.
Terry Gilliam's films.
That's fine. You don't have to. Brazil is not good. It's called a movie that... You know what Brazil is? Brazil is the equivalent of Blade Runner. People have convinced themselves through thinking... Just because it's been held in such high regard.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Always
absolutely.
remember, Terry Gilliam was the guy the rest of the Monty Python people wanted nothing to do with.
So I'm with you, Zach. That I guess I don't know if I'm with you on the Terry Gilliam thing. Do you like the bureaucracy montage?
The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yes. What about it? Is that the
was
bad
Dr.
movie?
That was the Dr. Heath Ledger movie.
Yeah, that was when, after he died, they've had him change bodies like Doctor Who.
Do you like
fill
Fear
it
and
in.
Loathing in Las Vegas? You have to love that movie.
Oh, not as much as I did when I watched it while I was tripping in college. Like, when I watch it with a clear head, it's not as good. But it's decent. I love Tobey Maguire's part at the beginning in the car when Johnny Depp is freaking him out. I've never seen The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, but I have a copy of it.
Doesn't count because you tried making that movie like 12 times.
Sure, yeah.
That's the definition of you throw enough shit against the wall to eventually stick. That's an exercise in like persistence.
Absolutely,
else.
yeah.
And that was the thing. When I eventually came, everyone's just like, "Oh, like that wasn't even fun." I made a documentary.
Yep. Other than that, I don't know what else, is there anything notable or I would have seen.
Brothers Grimm.
I never saw that.
12 Monkeys.
Oh, I saw 12 Monkeys. I did not like 12 Monkeys. Yeah, that's another one where...
That's a very mentally frustrating movie.
And that's another one that people go hard for.
Okay, I have to tell...
Well, what is it? Did he do Life of Brian?
No,
it's Meaning of Life?
He did The Meaning of Life.
Yes.
That's kind of like amazing.
Well, I think that's the Monty Python stuff. That's his bread and butter, you know?
Every sperm is sacred.
Every sperm kind of is sacred.
That's kind of brilliant.
I like that Zack is whispering like Eddie Redmayne about Terry Gilliam.
I do not. I'm saying, Rob knows at one point in my life I was, and that's why to this day I still can't figure out when we did the sketch comedy for a month. We did not talk about Monty Python.
Like I keep telling you, Monty Python's going to get its own series.
I will not allow
if
that.
If we had a 3 Monday series, it would be perfect to do the sketch comedy, maybe for 2 episodes and one of the movies, or maybe we do a double feature. That's the way to do it.
One episode on Flying Circus, and that's it. I do not like Holy Grail. I've never seen that. It's total. I think it's a very obnoxious film.
I don't love Holy Grail, but I appreciate it for
Life
what it is.
Life of Brian is unique in what it was because they tried doing something different.
Yes.
And how that movie got made is infinitely more interesting than the movie itself.
Sure.
The fact that they had to go to George Harrison, and George Harrison basically wrote him a check, which is hysterical. Because he's like, "Yeah, I'll give you guys some money." Like, they're like, "We'll pay you back." He's like, "Yeah, all right, if you want."
Yep.
And the Meaning of Life is just kind of like going right back to their roots. It's kind of like, oh god.
Yeah,
the Galaxy song.
I do like Meaning of Life, but Flying Circus is still my favorite of all the Monty Python stuff.
Okay, going back to actresses,
yes.
I think I found a couple of good actresses.
Okay, let's
I looked
see.
at actresses born in the 1980s.
Okay,
Anne Hathaway is here. Mm-hmm. Anne Hathaway would be interesting.
Zach knows my
affinity
affinity for
ever
Anne
done
Hathaway.
Sci-fi? Has she ever done sci-fi?
The closest thing would be Serenity, right? If you can call that sci-fi,
Sure.
Spoilers for Serenity, if anybody wanted to see that movie.
Okay, here's some other ones. Christina Ricci. Christina Ricci could have had a lot of fun
and
with
she's
it.
in the Wachowski stable after Speed Racer. That is a good call. Oh, but the only
But the
problem
studio
is,
wouldn't have signed off on that.
Yeah, and when was she going to rehab? Because she had battles with anorexia and stuff. I don't remember.
Whatever.
When that was,
We're talking
but
about this more
hypothetically.
yes.
Yeah. That she would have been good.
This is the most objective choice, though.
Okay.
Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams could have pulled this off. She wouldn't have done it, but because it's going to be considered below her.
That's a good
but
point.
She could have pulled this off.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay.
But guess what, though? Michelle Williams does not bring people in.
Not at all.
Mila Kunis brings an audience in. Bad Moms 2.
Yeah, the comedy stuff, though. Like we were saying, that's where people know her from, and that's where people see her. And I guess, I think LaShawn said this back when we did Black Swan. He's a big fan of Mila Kunis and her looks.
Of course.
I'm not the biggest fan of Mila Kunis and her looks. She looks like I think I'm confounding it, though, with how I think she plays dumb characters. That's how I knew her growing up. And I hate when characters just are one shtick. Like, I'm so dumb. Like, Meg is always the butt of the joke. That type of thing. And I just can't stand it. So, okay, Mila Kunis, I'm with you. As much as I dislike her personally, you're right. It's not her fault with a lot of the stuff that goes on. It's not her fault that she had to say she's going to file a tax grievance against somebody. Titus Abrasax. But now, the other one. Channing Tatum. I really don't like Channing Tatum as well. As I think I've said on this podcast before, and I know I've said to Zach, it's the reason why The Hateful Eight gets docked points. Why it falls down on the ranking of my Tarantino. I hate when he comes out of the floor. That is one of the stupidest things, not only in a Tarantino movie, but in movies. I hate that Channing Tatum comes out of the floor in the third act of no.
I like the Hateful
Is this your version of me liking Eddie Redmayne in this movie?
No, Hateful Eight. No, it's no. Like we have the rank. Oh God, ranking Tarantino. That's where it's like Rob. The best Tarantino is Inglourious Bastards. I will shoot you over that. You will legit die. I cannot wait for a moment in the culture where we finally realize that Tarantino made his opus. It is 2009's Inglourious Basterds. He literally created probably the last memorable villain in cinema. He literally made Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
And that Colonel Hans Landa is probably the last genuinely original villain you'll ever get. And he took it as the most like generic archetype of a villain, a Nazi commander.
Yes.
Or an SS, whatever his title
Sure,
is. He's
yes.
a colonel, but like it's that idea. Colonel Hans Landa. He's never gonna make a better movie than that. You have Brad Pitt weirdly against type in that.
Oh yeah.
Weirdly against and in form.
Yep.
Eli Roth. You make Eli Roth tolerable.
Yeah.
And the
that's
greatest
a feat in and of itself.
And
absolutely.
the greatest tragedy, the greatest cinematic tragedy of all the like what ifs in Hollywood, to this day, I will mourn this moment in history. I want to go to the universe where this happened. We could have gotten Adam Sandler as the Bear.
Yes. Do you know why he wasn't in that? It was timing with something. Funny people. It was. I was thinking
Judd
of
goddamn
Collateral.
Apatow.
Because he was supposed to be Jamie Foxx's character in Collateral, but something else went over. That's why Jamie Foxx.
And that's what makes me mad. Adam Sandler's the Bear Jew. Can you imagine Adam Sandler? There needs to be a deep fake of Adam Sandler standing in a balcony, literally with a machine gun, just mowing down Nazis.
Yep. Would that have prevented us from getting Uncut Gems, though?
I don't care. It's worth it.
Okay.
As we all know, you know, the Uncut Gems discussion is one of those ones. If I could ever do a Redux on, because I feel like I didn't give that my full attention at the time, I would want Bear Jew, Adam Sandler.
Okay,
that is what Brad Pitt and Adam Sandler in a movie directed by Tarantino. That's the same level of DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in a movie.
Yeah.
It's that same level of just like, can you believe that orbit just crossing? And it's just like, man, goddamn Judd Apatow for a crappy movie about, feel bad for actors. Yep. Actors are it's like look at it again. It's that goddamn South Park thing of like, oh god, what was it? Where Stan and them have like a band, the Moops, and like all the musicians come and they're complaining about like that. Like was it Lars Ulrich? And was it Master P?
Yeah, there's a
and
bunch
all
of
that.
bunch
And it's like feel bad for actors, comedians are people too. And it's like I don't care. I want Adam Sandler killing Nazis.
I agree with you. We're gonna get to Tarantino some movies at some point.
That'll probably if we ever like the thing about it is like what we've only talked. Have you ever done any Tarantino?
No, just talking about it, right? I don't think we've covered any Tarantino.
We've done Kubrick. We've done all this. We've done more Zack Snyder movies.
We've done more Snyder. We've done Eraserhead on this, and Straight Story. So we've done more.
Eraserhead's a weird one. That was
sure.
We'll have to do that properly.
We'll do that many times. I think it's like our elves. We're going to revisit it.
We talk about elves more than Tarantino movies.
Whenever we get to
podcast
Tarantino, Zach knows I love Inglourious Basterds. I actually forgot that I have it on DVD in my DVD shelf.
I borrowed that one.
Forgot
to rip it back in high school.
Yeah, but.
Allegedly, I did not.
Counterpoint, not to talk about it too much. Jackie Brown. I fucking love Jackie Brown.
But it's not. But it's not. Okay, that's fine. You can subjectively love something. I have no problem with that. Objectively speaking, Inglourious Basterds is the better film.
That's where
it's a tighter film.
Right. Yeah,
it does more. Think of goddamn what's his name? Oh God, I hate the fact that Marvel is painting him for me. I don't want to say the name. What's his name? Frederick Zoller. I was going to say his Marvel name.
Yes, I only know him as Frederick Zoller as well. Yeah. So yeah,
Diane Kruger gets choked to death by Christoph Waltz.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
Brad Pitt carves a swastika.
I remember seeing Inglourious Basterds in theaters with my mother, and after the whole opening farm scene, she turns to me and she was like, "That was good." And it was just like, yes, that's the only reaction to have.
You literally have the opening of a movie, which has been hyped as think about it. Everybody forgets the marketing for that movie. That movie was hyped as Brad Pitt killing Nazis.
Yep.
Hyped as first 20 minutes of that movie is literally people you've never seen before, speaking a foreign language, at a table, and it's maybe the most tense moment of the decade for cinema.
Oh yeah. I remember in that theater.
That is masterful. You're never going to get 100%. That again. Tarantino's. That's why when everyone's just like, oh god, he's threatening to quit after he makes his 10th film. Like, good, please. Every single
have a wonderfully perfect
that's
career.
That's why it's funny. Like, he did an interview just recently. With promise, we'll get back to Jupiter Ascending.
Yes,
he did an interview before the HBO Max ran out for me. He did an interview this summer for Bill Maher, and he's like, for my final film, I kind of want to redo Reservoir Dogs.
Ooh.
Do a remake of my first film as my last film. And Bill Maher's like, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
And Tarantino's like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. It was just an idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'd be so on board with that. Him redoing, wouldn't that be a fun experiment?
100%. 100% it would be so awesome. Especially a remake. Tarantino would probably do some type of, modern update of it type of thing.
I would try. He's one of those people that, anytime he's involved with something, he's clever enough and he can do. He didn't talk about the Harvey Weinstein scandal. Somehow was able to skate around that.
Yep.
He's one person that that goddamn internet culture was like, yeah, he's a horrible person, but we'll leave him alone. He's worth it. He's he's kind of he's earned a shield.
Yes, absolutely. No, Tarantino's
he can look at Margot Robbie's feet as much as he wants. He's earned the right to do that.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know where we'd cover Tarantino or why, or if we do a series, it would be what we're going to get to it eventually. I think Zach's pulling out some Tarantino DVDs right now to show, or Blu-rays possibly.
I want to show Rob while he's here. This is the fun of recording stuff. Look at the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Blu-ray.
Am I going to see feet?
No, just look at this. Feet? Look at how ugly it is.
It really is kind of ugly.
It's ugly. I got it on clearance.
It's got the font on it. Looks like the Once Upon a Time in Soho neon lights that we saw in the trailer.
60s.
The 60s, yeah. Or that Bad Times at the El Royale with Cheese did that
clearly
same thing.
We picked up a pattern. It's called Hollywood, and they think of 1960s. It's a font to them.
Yes, 1960s.
Look at the back. Look at the back of the case. Remember Brandy?
DiCaprio, Pitt, and Robbie get split thirds of the front of it. I guess split fourths, because 1/4 is the title. The back is the entirely devoted to Brad Pitt's dog in the movie.
the actual dog's name.
Sayuri is Brandy. I gotta rewatch this. I only saw it in theaters, and it was great.
Fine.
It was great.
Rob, can we please Rob, what's our favorite quote of all time?
Oh, you're going a different direction than I was ready to. So I'll get to mine afterwards. But if you want to smoke weed on a dark, abandoned road, next time fix your fucking muffler. It is one of my favorite moments in movie history.
That's like I said. Even the lead up to that, where he's making margaritas at midnight. He's like, "Goddamn fucking hippies!"
Fucking private road and property taxes up the butt. God damn. Bunch of goddamn fucking hippies. What the fuck? Hey, you! Yeah, asshole! I'm talking to you! What the hell do you think you're doing bringing that noisy hunk of shit around here at midnight? This is a private road, all right? Who are you? And who are you here to see, huh?
Nobody, sir. We just got lost and a little turned around.
Oh, horse shit. You fucking hippies came up here to smoke dope on a dark road, huh? Next time you want to try that, fix your fucking muffler.
Look, we're really sorry we disturbed you.
Look, Chief, you don't belong here. Now take this mechanical asshole and get it off my fucking street!
Fucking hippies. And he's out there with the margarita, with the blender, with the margarita in it, and he's drinking it while he's yelling at them.
And the guy's talking back to him, sir, I gotta apologize, we were kind of lost.
Yep.
No, you didn't. You said.
It's wonderful. I thought you were going to say another great reason I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's only one scene. Sydney Sweeney's one of the Manson girls.
That's fine.
I gotta see everything Sydney Sweeney's in. It's one of the movies I have to say, in ranking Sydney Sweeney by how sad and naked she is, this is up top, because she's just sad, she's not naked. Most things she's sad and naked. And I don't know if any man is yelling at her in this movie.
I don't think so. I don't think she has any speaking part in this.
Sydney Sweeney has 3 modes. Sad, naked, man yelling at her. Sometimes those overlap. Many times
it's a Venn diagram.
Yes, it's one of the 3-pronged Sydney Sweeney Venn diagram, or 3-circle. Sydney Sweeney needs to make a movie where she's happy. That's all I want from Sydney Sweeney's act. I want her to be. I hope she's happy in real life. I guess that's what I should say.
I feel like Cinemodities has reached a point in popularity where we could probably realistically get Sydney Sweeney. And we talk about start getting people on the podcast, I think we could tweet to Sydney Sweeney and it would be like a real thing that could
That would be
possibly happen.
wonderful, because I love Sydney Sweeney.
We would laugh at one point. We would start laughing.
Probably.
We would embarrass her in ourselves.
If I ever met Sydney Sweeney, like at a convention or something, or she was
God.
like, I don't know where she would sign, I would hug her and just be like,
Who hurt you?
Shh, it's okay, Sydney
hurt you?
Sweeney. I'm not going to yell at you. And she's going to be like, should I take my clothes off? And I'm like, no, Sydney Sweeney, no more of that. Let me whisk you away from this and you will never have to be naked again. Love Sydney Sweeney. Okay, that was a great Tarantino tangent. Back to Channing Tatum, which caused the Tarantino tangent. What do you think of Channing Tatum, Zach? Have you liked him in anything you've seen of him? I don't think he's fine. I think he's boring.
As an actor, he's fine. He's oh god, he's a fantastic has comedic timing. I think he has. That's the thing.
I didn't love the. I've only seen him
apparently
comedic.
Spoiler alert, but he's in Free Guy, uncredited. So he's clearly a cameo.
I did
I'm
not
glad
like
I ruined
him
that movie for you, everybody.
I did not like him in 21 Jump Street, where I know a lot of people say like that's his comedic role type of thing, and I did not care for that. I've never seen Magic Mike or Magic Mike XXL.
Magic Mike's pretty solid.
That's what I've heard. I'd love to see it.
But that's the thing, though. He started off as like a stripper in Tampa.
Yes.
And like I think it's like that old adage of like a comedic actor will have a much easier time transitioning into dramatic roles than a dramatic actor being able to hit comedic timing.
Sure.
Everyone's always said like if you asked, and we've kind of again going back to Adam Sandler. Like, Sandler can transition into dramatic much easier than someone like Daniel Day-Lewis could transition into comedy.
Yes.
They have more range.
100%.
They understand the art better than a exclusively dramatic actor.
I guess I did see him in G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra.
Well, again, he started off as, like, eye candy and Step Up.
Yes.
And then, like, he does the second one. And then, like, 2009 is, like, his breakout year where he's Good Joe. And then he does, like, oh, God, what was it? The guy who did The Notebook.
Oh, are you talking about Dear John? That movie? Yeah, I don't remember who made that.
No, not who made it, but like, isn't that based off...
Nicholas Sparks?
Yeah, he starts doing Nicholas Sparks, like, esque stuff.
Yep.
He does that, and like, he tried to become an action star, again, because he does like The Eagle and Haywire, which both... God, Haywire was a Soderbergh film that bombed. Had a great cast, but it just was not very good.
Yeah, never saw that.
And then 2012 is the year where he explodes. He literally has 3 huge movies in the span of like 3 months.
Yep.
He has The Vow, which is like a huge barn burner in like the winter. He has 21 Jump Street, which is a huge success in the spring. And Magic Mike is a huge success in the summer. He literally, like, and that's what everybody forgets. Like, that just the year before, Ryan Gosling, my boyfriend, sat there, like, they did the exact same thing to Ryan Gosling. They gave him Drive, Crazy Stupid Love, and, oh God, what's the last one? Ides of March with Clooney.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one.
And every single one of those movies bombs.
Yes.
Drive can be argued that, like, with rentals and stuff, it probably just eats its way into the black. Crazy Stupid Love was weird, probably did that too, but just, it was not a barn burner.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Then, like, in 2003, then by, like, that time, it's like, oh, God, they filmed already Good Joe Retaliation, and they blamed a lot of the first film on him.
Yeah.
And they brought him back with reshoots.
Yes.
Then, like, remember he's in This Is the End, where he plays, like...
Never saw that, yeah.
He plays Danny McBride's, like, sex slave in a cameo.
Okay.
Like, I think that's why Channing Tatum... Apparently, he has, like, a great personality. He's a team player.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
Yeah. Like, White House Down.
I saw that. I didn't care for that movie as a whole, and I'm sure if I watched it again, I'd be like, I'm bored by him.
But it was underwhelming because, like, just earlier that year, they had the Gerard Butler, Morgan Freeman movie come out.
Something, Olympus Has Fallen, or whatever. Yeah.
And then, like, he transitions to get so. Then he has that very next year, 2014. He has Foxcatcher.
That I saw as well, and I thought he was boring in that. I thought that movie was pretty boring as a whole.
Is it boring, or is he doing what he's told? And he's nailing it. Is he doing what he's told, and is he sticking the landing when he's... And that's what this is. He's doing what he's told, and he's sticking the landing. He'll work forever if he can do that.
It might be that. It might be that he knows
he's doing what he's told,
exactly.
And he's sticking the landing.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. You can't blame him for that. And then 2014, you have Magic Mike XXL, which is like a really kind of watered-down version of that first film. Hateful Eight, Jupiter Ascending. And he kind of goes into hiding after that. Like 2016, he just does the Coen Brothers' Hail Caesar.
Yeah, one of the Coens I haven't seen.
Yeah. He doesn't want any parts of that. He's in Kings in the Golden Circle, and a very minute part.
Yeah, wasn't there something where like they started shooting and then he had a schedule conflict, that's why he's in a coma for most of the movie or something like that? Okay.
Yeah. And then pretty much after 2016, he kind of goes into hiding. Like, he kind of does bit parts, like he's in Kingsman, he's in Logan Lucky momentarily.
Yep.
He does like a lot, he has a couple voice acting things, Smallfoot.
As I mentioned to Zack back in Monstober, he is the voice of George Washington in America the Motion Picture, a truly abhorrent film.
Yes, I see that here. But but remember also, the big thing about Channing Tatum history that everybody has to kind of realize, that the reason why his, like career, his filmography gets kind of thin after 2015 was Fox like dragged him around by the nose to be Gambit.
Yep,
he wanted that so bad, and pretty much kind of kept his schedule open because he wanted that ticket into the Marvel thing, and that just dissipated into thin air.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up.
Taylor Kish.
Is it going to be Gambit now? If they
No,
do
he
Gambit,
was in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, that's right. So I about Gambit. Has Gambit fallen apart in the modern Marvel era? Because if you look back at canon comic Gambit, he's a douchebag, like womanizer, misogynist type of thing, from what I know. Do you think that they don't want to touch that, or that they are waiting to find the way to reinvent that character? Because there's no way they're going to make... With how bad Gambit is as like an anti-hero from what I know in his X-Men stuff.
But in the cartoon, the 90s cartoon, he was one of the main characters.
That's right. And he was just throwing cards, you know?
And that's what he is. He's card-throwing man.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
I would imagine somebody now, probably back at Fox, and probably definitely now at Disney's probably looking at that, figuring out how they're going to smooth that over.
Yeah.
But he'll be, like I said, he'll show up whenever the X-Men do. It won't be Channing Tatum. And it's kind of interesting. Like, I kind of, like, for some reason why I hate the fact that I couldn't remember what's his name from Frederick Zoller, who's actor, Daniel Bruhl.
Yes.
I almost said Baron Zemo at one point, and I'm like, damn it.
Frederick Zoller,
He's still, he's
the hero of the nation, yep.
I told Rob, he's the best part of the Marvel thing, because he's
a
character who literally hates superheroes, and all he wants is to kill them all. I'm just like,
I would relate to him. Yeah.
I know, he's the best part of Falcon and Silver Arm, because he's like, I'll help you because I don't want any more of you to exist. I want to wipe you out, all of you. And I'm like, great. I want this character to be everything. And I think at the end of that series, he gets arrested by like the Dora Milaje. He gets arrested because like he still is responsible for T'Chaka's death. But like I still want him to exist as a villain. His sole goal is just murder superheroes. But this thing about Channing Tatum though, isn't it fascinating that he's such a well-liked like personality?
Sure.
He gets along with everybody.
Yep.
And yet still to this day, he hasn't been absorbed into like the Holly. Like he doesn't have his own franchise. Like Magic Mike was the closest he ever got to it, and that petered out after the second one.
Yep.
But he's had a couple of low key hit Step Up, which he graduated from.
Yes.
He wanted nothing to do with Gajo after a while. He had Jump Street, which after the second one fizzled out.
Yeah, because they couldn't cross it over with Men in Black, you know.
And guess what? He was also smart enough to, I would imagine at some point they probably offered him the Chris Hemsworth role, and he probably walked away from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he clearly, he got, say what you will about his role in Hateful Eight, but he did blip on Tarantino's radar. I think, but you don't make a call to Tarantino. Tarantino calls you.
Yes, absolutely.
So clearly,
yeah.
So like he clearly, again, he's a personality. He's well liked. He knows what to do when he's told, and he knows when to kind of step aside from a wreck.
Yeah.
So like it's weird. He's very interesting in that regard.
Yeah. So he can ride kind of the way to have a continued career, but
everybody knows who he is. He's also ubiquitous,
and that might be the best thing for his career, not to break out as a leading man.
But guess what? He did have this, which was probably his attempt at trying to have his own franchise.
Exactly.
And guess what? He probably, again, there's two reasons why this was probably greenlit. A, the Wachowski's name, the people, again. There's a reason why this is in bold letters.
Yep.
Okay, you look at this thing, Rob. What can you read from here? The names, the title, and the Matrix.
Yep, exactly.
This is all you need to know about this movie.
Yes.
Whoever designed this cover knew what they were doing. They understood it.
I had to look it up while we're on the topic of Channing Tatum. He did not win Worst Actor.
Who won that year?
It's kind of surprising because also I want to mention someone else in the same year that did not win. Johnny Depp as Mordecai did not win. The winner is Jamie Dornan as Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey. I think that's just because they have a hate boner for 50 Shades of Grey. I've never seen that movie, so I don't know about that performance.
You know what the sad thing is that like I can literally give you like a dozen more movies that are more racy than that.
Sure, exactly.
It's not even a racy movie. It's the illusion of provocative.
And I haven't seen Johnny Depp in Mordecai.
That is on the spreadsheet.
Oh yes, of course. That's something I feel like we need to cover. But I always love telling the story that I was on a plane once. And the dude sitting next to me busted open his laptop and watched Mordecai. And I was tempted to say to him at a certain point, be like, your secret's safe with me. Mordecai is one of those things where I wanted to be like, are you sure you want to let other people see you watching Mordecai?
Have you seen the cast list for Mordecai? Like, it's bonkers.
It's pretty stacked, right? Because Gwyneth Goop is in it, right? Johnny Depp. Is Stanley Tucci, or am I thinking somebody else plays his assistant or something like that?
Good old Tucci.
We gotta see Mordecai eventually.
That's
Ewan McGregor is who I was thinking of. Olivia Munn, Jeff Goldblum, Paul Bettany. God.
Jesus.
And this was
2015 or something?
2015, and this was like a Johnny Depp passion project. Like, he loved the books. Apparently, they're from French series of books or something.
Which makes sense for him.
Right up his alley, yeah. You know, he probably orders all the originals to his island that he lives on for a quarter of the year, and he reads them when he goes and drinks his wine or something like that. But yeah, I just had to say that, you know, Channing Tatum does not win. He loses to Christian Grey, Jamie Dornan.
That's fine. Jamie Dornan. You know what's so funny too about Jamie Dornan? Like, talk about another actor that thought they were like hitched their star to this and just more or less disappeared.
I can't even picture.
He's a guy. And you know why they cast him? Because he's literally the most generic looking man out there.
Yeah.
He's meant. It's like the Bella Swan thing in Twilight. You cast really the most generic looking actress in the world because you want girls to be able to project themselves onto him.
Yes. So, okay, now, I don't even know why I had to look this up. Now I was interested to see who did Mila Kunis lose to. Of course, it's Dakota Johnson as Anna from 50 Shades of Grey.
That is a, oh God, it's a combination of nobody, oh God, she can't act, and on top of that, no one probably directed her.
Hey, Katherine Heigl was nominated for something called Home Sweet Hell. Never heard of it, where she plays Mona Champagne.
Well, that's it.
I know what I'm watching tonight. Oh God, it's Katherine Heigl and Patrick Wilson.
Well, Patrick Wilson's in so much garbage.
Yeah, he is. He really is in so much garbage.
Like, it's weird that once again everybody likes Patrick Wilson, but he'll literally say yes to anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't dangle the check in front of him. He's like, okay, I'm there.
Yes. Okay, so Channing Tatum, do we have an idea of who would have been better in this role? I think
nobody. He does his best job.
Exactly. I think the separation between him and Mila Kunis for me is, well, I don't like Mila Kunis, and I don't think she gives a good performance in this movie, which we've discussed may or may not be her fault, or, you know, a lot of the blame is going to go more to the Wachowskis. I dislike Channing Tatum, but I don't really have that big of an issue with his performance in this movie.
No, he's doing exactly
what he's told. He can do the action, he can do the green screen, where I think Mila Kunis fails a little bit in some of the action scenes where she's doing goofy stuff.
My favorite Mila Kunis moment in this movie is her running up a flight of stairs.
At the end, when she's just randomly moving around because we need motion. Yes, but yeah, Channing Tatum I don't have a problem with. He looks weird, but everybody looks weird. At least splices that they say, you know.
Did you see the thing that apparently, again, they put like a thing in his jaw,
yeah.
Like, jaw, and he had a really hard time.
Yeah.
Would that really have made that much of a difference? Like, did anybody watch this movie? You know what? Didn't really like it, but that jaw sold me on it.
Yes. But then I think the two of them in conjunction now. My least favorite part of Jupiter Ascending is the romance stuff. The scene, like one of my notes is when they're doing the whole I keep falling for men that don't fall for me and stuff. Comes out of nowhere, yeah. And then even later on, when she's now royalty, I think in the second scene where he's saying like, "Oh, that you said your compass is wrong. You're above me, or we should do this." My note is literally, "Can we please skip all of this? I can't stand that stuff." In general, and in this movie.
But when you do that, though, it's the same thing as Pacific Rim. Remember that we had Charlie Hunnam and the Asian
the forced romance.
Well, that wasn't even a romance, though. It's just like there's no romance there. So like it's just like it's a layer there that like if there was no romance, we'd be like, why isn't the romance there? Like clearly, it's ready.
Exactly. So yeah, and this movie kind of needs it for the space opera type thing.
If anything, they should have like considering that like she's considered even like in her family, she's kind of a loner. Mm-hmm. They should have made her out to be they should have made him a quasi father figure.
Oh, okay.
For her to latch onto.
Sure, something like a Christoph Waltz with Alita. Maybe not as hard as that, but maybe more.
An actor that like was probably, but might have been because Mila Kunis, you gotta give her credit. She looks like she's in her early 20s in everything she's ever done.
Yes.
Now maybe mid 20s. Who's like a mid 40s actor at the time you could have cast?
So we're thinking father figure, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's just say, okay, she's supposed to be what? Probably early to mid 20s.
Yeah, like early 20s, I'd say. Yeah.
So you have to figure. We got to talk about what's his name. The the guy who's in Cloud Atlas too, who plays her father.
Oh, James Darcy. Yeah. I think he plays Sixsmith in Cloud Atlas.
Yeah. So think of an actor that was like, that's probably what. He looks James Darcy looks like probably 25. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be about 25 at that moment.
Yep. And then when she grows up, so in the 40s.
So about like mid to late 40s.
So my two thoughts. One, I have one a little on the younger side, which could be like a quasi father figure, and maybe there's some like hint of romance. And I have one on a little older side. The one on the younger side that I think could have played it as a father figure / at least mentor. What do you think about Tom Hardy?
Oh, way too young.
You think way too young?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
He'd be insulted. He wouldn't do that because he'd look bad at being her father. He wouldn't.
Okay. Then let me go with on the older side.
He's too sexy too. Like I
know that's what I'm saying.
I would love to see Tom Hardy in that, in keeping it the same dynamic as Lovers.
Yeah,
it'd be fun as that.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe that's why I'm thinking that. Then maybe as a father figure and older, the other person I'm thinking of is David Harbour.
At this time, no, he wasn't a name. Yeah, I think
that's fair. That's fair. He's not a name yet.
Think about early 2010s.
Oh God, that sucks. He's not a name till like fucking Stranger Things, which sucks. Jesus, okay.
He's been around forever.
David Harbour also is very father figure to me, at least in how I see David
Okay, I want
Harbour.
everybody to know. I typed in actors born in the 1970s. And I get goddamn Christopher Nolan. He's not an actor.
Christopher Nolan should play a dog person. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, because other actors I was thinking are definitely too young and hot. Like I'm trying to think of even.
You know who would be good?
Okay,
Ethan Hawke.
Ooh, that's an interesting one for sure.
But he also was pretty good for his age. I couldn't take her for her father. Though.
Yeah.
Like one name that they would never do this in a million years. It would be a really interesting movie.
Okay,
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, that's good. That'd be
fun. That'd be wild. That'd be provocative as hell.
Yes,
but that would never get made.
Yeah, I would agree. That's an interesting idea. But I'm with you in the sense that this should have been more of a mentor/father figure rather than the love interest, because I don't think she really needs the love interest. And they do that whole thing with the movie is getting at the theme of genetic reoccurrence and is it nature versus nurture, like know your place in society. Like I said, all those Wachowski's ideas coming together. I mean, you even have Sean Bean say at a certain point, it's not what you do, it's who you are. And I'm like, yeah, this is a Wachowski's movie. And I think having the love interest doesn't, I would like it as the father figure type of thing. Like we get Jupiter's arc of, realizing her royalty and going back to Earth knowing things everybody else does. I like that better than, them, and I also get to spend time with my rocket boot boyfriend type of thing. It's a little cheesy for me, but I guess it's also that space opera vibe. You need the love interest. I don't know, maybe the love interest should have been one of the dragon people. Right? Like she falls for a dragon person when she gets to Eddie Redmayne's ship or whatever, and then, saves him, or one dragon person survives. But yeah, the romance stuff, it very rarely jives for me, and it didn't jive for me in this movie at all. But like I say, it needs it.
Who they would have cast in the early 2010s if they were looking for a father figure? Kind of like obvious when you think about it. It'd been Liam Neeson.
Oh, very father figure, absolutely.
Yeah. And could do the action with.
Yep.
That's the thing. That would be.
Could you imagine Liam Neeson flying around on rocket boots? I would love it.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be more CGI than ever, because apparently Channing Tatum did all of his stunt shows.
Yep. Yeah, I was reading that. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those.
I think for what remember, they also think they're going for a young market. Think about this film probably was in development at the same time Avengers is blowing up.
Yes. And it's another reason why I think with this casting, I saw the trailer and I thought it was some YA nonsense, because it plays to that younger market. Absolutely.
Can we please say that if this was being made today, or maybe not today, maybe about 4 years ago? 100% Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, totally.
Chris Hemsworth.
Totally.
He would have been saying. I wouldn't be surprised if he was sent this script and he turned it down.
Yep.
It's because not because he didn't want to do it, because there's Avengers stuff. Because Marvel probably has his entire calendar blocked out for everybody forgets with all these kind of your Chris Evans, Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, pretty much from 2000 9 to now, until 2019, those actors pretty much an entire decade of their lives were just Marvel. If you can fit something in between there, that's fine. Marvel.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. Whatever happened to the wolf guy from Twilight? What was his name?
Oh, Lautner?
Yeah, Taylor Lautner. Whatever happened to him? Didn't they try and make him an action star?
A couple times,
and it didn't work.
He was Twilight Man. He was able to. He wasn't. What happened was.
I think I'm making the connection just because he plays a werewolf, and we have a dog man here.
Again, Taylor Lautner made the mistake where everyone's got to give Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart credit, where they went completely. They did the DiCaprio thing.
Yes.
They did the beach.
Yeah.
They both did the beach.
Yep.
And instead of where DiCaprio just did the beach, it was okay, I went into hiding for a couple of years, and then I'll come back with Catch Me If You Can and Gangs of New York. Again, DiCaprio's thing was, I'm going to do something genuine. Oh, God, what's his name? Oh, God, what's his name? Who did that?
The Beach?
Yeah.
Don't remember.
I know who did that. I'll look it up right now. It's going to drive me nuts. Another prolific actor. He was going to make a...
Mr. Beach?
He was going to do a Bond movie. He sat there, he quit.
Ooh.
Okay, Mr. Beach.
You would know the Bond stuff better than I.
So excited.
But yeah, Taylor Lautner.
Danny Boyle.
Okay. Taylor Lautner tried to jump right into action. Wasn't there that abduction or something like that? I remember seeing.
With Sigourney.
Yeah.
That's Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart tried to become blockbuster actress, and that backfired because people didn't want any parts of her.
Yes.
Where Pattinson just went into after he did what was it, the 9/11 movie?
Yeah.
He just went hard into I'm just doing weird crap. And now a decade later, He's like, I want to be a blockbuster actor.
Yeah, now he's one of the actors
cool.
I see, and I love him in things. Like, I love him in The Lighthouse. I love him in Good Time.
Well, guess what? He rehabilitated his image. He did
Exactly.
He was able to pull off, and even like with Kristen Stewart, she's now. But she also wants to have her cake and eat it too, because she tried doing Charlie's Angels, that fizzled.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
And now, like, she's gonna be Princess Diana.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Which ones? She hasn't exactly broken out of it. Mass audience, even Robert Pattinson, mass audiences still haven't accepted them.
Exactly.
DiCaprio is really the only example of an actor that was able to go from like teenage heartthrob to the point where he's one of like 3 genuine actors that can still bring in an audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he is like in a class of his own because people just trust him at this point.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Danny Boyle.
Yeah. Okay.
Danny Boyle.
So yeah, I mean, so this whole part of the conversation has been because I don't like Mila Kunis or Channing Tatum. I don't like them together. But like we said with the directors, it's not totally their fault. I think their chemistry's fine. I mean, it's just more personally that I dislike them.
I think it's the same thing of like they probably were told to read off the paper too much.
Sure.
I think if they were allowed to relax, I think this would have been a different movie. If
Okay.
they were allowed to kind of just get into the zone, I think both of them can do it if they want to. Like you said, Mila Kunis can do it. You just have to really kind of pry it out of her.
Yeah.
And I think Channing Tatum can do whatever he wants to put his mind to it.
Okay.
As you know, he's probably one of the most versatile actors right now working.
And then other than that, I'm kind of, I
think Eddie Redmayne.
I like in this role.
Eddie Redmayne.
What do you want to say about Eddie Redmayne? Like, we love him. We love him in this role.
He's the greatest thing to ever exist in this movie.
It's wonderful.
This is the thing. Like, we have to start creating like a formula or like a recipe book for like making this type of movie.
Yeah.
If you want to be a true like Cinemodities blockbuster mess,
yes,
you need you have to big budget. Has to be rejected by mass audiences.
100%.
And you need that one performance that is so inexplicable.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, think
stand
about,
out.
Like, Batman v Superman, you have Jesse Eisenberg.
100%.
And I don't blame him for that, because I don't know. It's weird. That's Hack Snyder nonsense. That's its own thing.
Yes.
But, like, you have even, like, Mortal Engines. You sit there, have hashtag.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
Like, you have that where it's like, where is this coming from? And this.
And even Hugo Weaving at the end of that, after Strike's out of the picture.
Hugo Weaving is. Okay, the biggest mystery in this movie is that Hugo Weaving is an Eddie Redmayne character.
Oh,
biggest mystery.
That's a good, yeah.
Like, in all honesty, I could see Eddie Redmayne as the Hugo Weaving character in Mortal Engines.
Yes.
Before I can see him in this.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no Hugo Weaving for the Wachowskis is strange, definitely.
Again, he's also in the weird part now. Like, he wants nothing to do with I even look at the Marvel thing. That, like, think about it, they want him back for Avengers.
Red Skull, and he's like, fuck yourself.
Yeah, and he's like, no.
He's like, I was the dog in Babe, damn it.
We had the Transformers. He was goddamn Megatron for Michael Bay.
Yep. Oh man, yeah, that's wild. I love Hugo Weaving. It'd been great to see him.
Is there? Hugo Weaving. But Hugo Weaving has one shtick and he runs with it really hard.
Yeah,
we love him, but he had think about it. Like, I am comfortable in saying Mila Kunis, I'll take that back. I'm gonna be that mean. Channing Tatum has more range than Hugo Weaving does as an actor.
From what I've seen of Hugo Weaving in theatrical films, I agree.
Well, yes, based on
if we dove into his stage stuff, then I feel like we think differently. But that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about the things that people know.
Tell me the difference between his role in Captain America versus Mortal Engines versus Cloud Atlas. It's the exact same character in every single one.
Yeah, you're right there.
It's literally the exact...
Yes.
Maybe Lord of the Rings will give him the benefit of the doubt.
I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah, I've never seen any of those movies.
And I was even thinking the comparison of Agent Smith in the Matrix movies to what he is as V in V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta, he's playing Agent Smith just with more dialogue, basically, and more eloquent dialogue. Zack is losing his mind right now.
Apparently... Hugo Weaving was in Hacksaw Ridge.
Really? I still have not seen that. So
I've seen that twice now. Not too long ago, the second time.
You don't know? Okay.
Like, Sam Worthington's in that, and he's fine in that.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn's in that as the drill instructor, and maybe gives one of the best drill instructor performances.
Nice.
Shy of Arlie.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I'll keep an eye out for him when I eventually see that movie.
I love the idea that, like, Hugo Weaving's like, fuck you, Marvel, but I'll come back for Hobbit nonsense.
Yes, yeah.
He's in Happy Feet.
Oh yeah, he's the I think he's the dad in Happy Feet.
He's in Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Ooh, okay.
He's in the Hack Snyder universe.
Yes.
Wolfman.
Sure. Yeah, I like Hugo.
He's in a movie called. He's the narrator of a short called. And Rob's gonna just eat this up. This was prime for Rob on a silver platter. The Girl Who Swallowed Bees.
Oh, okay.
Which weirdly plays
Candyman 5. The Girl Who Swallowed Bees.
I'll let Rob look at the image on IMDb for The Girl Who Swallowed Bees.
The Girl Who... Oh, this is Candyman 5. I like that picture.
I know you do.
That's a neat...
I know. Rob's going to eat this up on a goddamn silver platter.
Yeah, that's like the Persistence of Man picture by Renee. You know, the dude with the apple in front of his face, that famous painting? That's what that reminds me of.
Of course. Like I said, prime for Rob.
Yeah, yeah. I love when we discuss pictures on this podcast, and I don't link to them. And I never link to them, you know? So, yeah, okay. I mean, other than our main leads and Eddie Redmayne, do you have an issue with any of the other performances? Because I'm pretty much fine with everything. Sean Bean, like you mentioned earlier, he's
Sean Bean. He's playing
exactly.
Type. He's playing type.
I think, you know, maybe to transition from the performances to the characters in the movie more, something that we were both confused by while watching the film.
And there's a lot of that.
Where the hell did Sean Bean's daughter go? We see her once.
She went to get groceries. She like fist bombs Mila Kunis, and then she disappears.
Yeah, because there's that thing when she's in the scene where all the bees start to follow Mila Kunis, and I'm like, oh, she's Candyman, you know, and Candywoman, I guess we should say. She introduces herself to Mila Kunis. Then they're in the house, and Sean Bean's like, we're going to do some genetic tests to make sure you are the Abraxas royalty or Abraxas royalty. And
is that the equivalent also of midichlorians?
Definitely, it 100% is. It's just like the actual like gene tracing, I guess. But then, like, there's this in that scene, the daughter like coughs, and Sean Bean expresses some concern, and she's like, "Don't worry, Dad, I'm going to be okay," and literally walks out of the movie. So, like, what the hell what was the point of her? Why does she have like this sickness scene? It makes no sense to me. She's played by someone named Charlotte Beaumont, who I do not know.
Has she done anything else?
Apparently she was in Broadchurch, the TV show in Britain, which I've never seen, but I've heard a lot about. For film, she's been in Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, Six Bullets, Jupiter Ascending, The Balcony, and The Windmill Massacre.
Oh, she's a nobody.
I have not heard of it.
She's probably somebody. She's probably connected to somebody in the production. Probably an executive, just like niece or... Yeah.
But I do you have any comprehension as to what her point in the movie was?
At some point,
Sean Bean needs to have a daughter to protect.
I think that was potentially for sequel bait.
Okay.
Because remember, he was like what, like the lieutenant of the army at one point or something.
Yes.
That's a loose thread.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I thought she was going to be like when Sean Bean gets like put in the brig later in the movie, and we're like, why is Sean Bean in jail? He did something. I thought his motivation later in the movie was going to be, I need to do this because I want, my daughter to live, because the daughter is implied that she's sick or something like that. I wanted something like, Sean Bean's here to get some of the immortality fluid to give to his daughter or something like that. Which I guess is another thing we have to talk about. Immortality fluid.
You mean the spice melange?
The spice melange, which in the movie, Titus says like 4 or 5 different names for it, and the only ones I caught were Regenex and Nectar.
The spice melange.
It's the spice melange. He probably said spice melange, yeah. And so that's the point of this movie, which is where I got so into it. And, maybe to explain more, other than just this being convoluted, and I love convoluted movies, when this movie really sold me is when you have that, they capture Mila Kunis from Sean Bean's farm. And you realize that the 3 bounty hunters that were sent by Eddie Redmayne, two of them are working for the sister, and they capture, and the movie becomes about, these 3 siblings are like warring over the production of nectar, of the spice melange for immortality, and it's literally profit driven, and it starts to become bureaucratic and like bogged down in like sibling rivalry, and I'm like, fucking sold. I am so into this. It's so confusing. I'm so into it.
But the weird thing is that like that's goofy enough, and that's 100% like reminiscent on a visual level to Lynch's Dune.
Yes.
But then, like, the film goes, and like I said, this is where I want to talk about this. It goes hard into Brazil territory.
Yeah.
When the movie lodges its head up its own ass to the point where it's like, remember Brazil? And he gets louder. Remember Brazil? Mm-hmm. Remember Brazil? Remember Brazil? Remember Brazil? Yep. And then literally it takes Terry Gilliam and shoves him up your ass.
They go to his house to film that scene. That's what the way Terry Gilliam looks in this movie is how he wakes up in the morning, with the weird eye attachment included. But like I said earlier, I'm fine with the bureaucracy stuff. I like that it gets a little muddled there. But you're right that it like hits you over the head with it. I wish they played it a little more. subtle. I don't know if subtle is
Brazil.
what the Wachowskis can do.
Even the
really.
design of those sequences and who's the helper that guides them.
Intergalactic Advocate Bob. Yes.
Even it's Brazil.
Exactly.
It's Brazil, and it's like we get it. You like this. You don't need to smack us across. Anybody who's going to get that reference gets it immediately.
100%.
If you have to be that forward with it, you're not getting that reference across people who don't know what Brazil is.
Yeah. And that, I mean, the bureaucracy is the stuff that I do like in Brazil. I think it's more the execution and the story that Brazil takes the turn in that I don't like. But you're right. Just keep it as a little homage. Don't make it this in-your-face
If
type
you want
of
to have
thing.
Terry Gilliam, have like 2 scenes and have him be one part of it.
Exactly.
And it'd be a fun cameo. And it's a fun cameo. Like, it's fine. Like, give Terry Gilliam something to do.
Yeah. I got no problem with that.
So, like, no, but it's just,
It's fun bureaucracy
It's
scene, but
superfluous,
it's too... Well, yeah, that's also true, that it does become very superfluous. And
this would be a great 90-minute movie to be made here.
absolutely. Cut out some of the romance, maybe make it the father figure so you lose that. Take out the bureaucracy.
I would say it's not even like... if anything, I would prefer more scenes of Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis doing their thing.
Really?
You know what you do? You do Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese.
Oh, that's another good
We
take.
have a
Yeah.
45-minute long action sequence. They're flying around Chicago. Apparently, it took them like 85 years to film this and map it out.
I'm glad you brought it up. I
You
had
did
some
not
thoughts.
need this. That is literally the most boring part in the film.
Yep.
Cut that out.
Absolutely.
Less is more. And that's the problem. Cut that out and have a moment where they're sitting there doing stuff. Have them on the run, do whatever it takes. Condense.
That could have
brevity
easily
is the soul of wit.
have been put into when Channing Tatum saves her from the egg donation doctors. Just have like that chase scene happen because there's bullshit in between. Just have that chase scene happen, cut it down, and then when they're on the ship, the Aegis or whatever it's called, then have it be like, what's going on? And Mila Kunis can ask a million questions.
That's the thing they should have. You have that moment where she's which you should really talk about the fact that like Sparky is selling her
eggs,
her egg cells, and you have that, and like he rescues her from that, and at that moment, like we hear about how Eddie Redmayne's put like a planetary blockade.
Yes.
Once again, Star Wars, another Phantom Menace reference, oddly enough. And you have that, though, and you have like all this stuff happening. You have to go. Think about it. That's all I do is just rescue her from places.
It's pretty crazy. Okay, because I know, as I said when we were watching it, we have to look this up. I want to know how much you get paid for donating eggs. Oh my god! I need
in 2012, Rob.
In 2000, okay,
or whenever 2000, like the early 2010s.
Let's see if I can find that. I think it'll be easier.
Go to the web archive. You know the exact price, and we'll just adjust for inflation later on.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, Rob's doing that. One thing I do want to talk about the fact that when this film was like delayed, it was 2013. It was the summer of 2013. They released a trailer for this at Comic-Con.
Okay, 2013.
It was that because this was supposed to be released July 2014, and that's like a Comic-Con thing to do. Release something that's a year away from release. And then I vaguely remember this. It was supposed to be released July 18th, and then like 5 weeks beforehand, they're like, "No, we're going to delay this like another 8 months."
Okay.
And they're claiming,
interesting.
and this is back when the Twitter like rumors, like they're like,
Sure.
The official reason for the delay was to finish special effects, which is insane. 5 weeks, you know that months in advance, you know that timetable, and this is why I kind of vaguely remember from Twitter rumors, and it's odd that it's on the Wikipedia thing. Is that like poor test screenings?
Okay,
and that's what makes me think like, but what the hell did they reshoot? What the hell was in the original cut of this that didn't make sense?
Yeah,
or they thought it didn't make sense.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember you telling me that this was delayed and whatnot and things of that nature. And of course they're going to give that reason for finishing special effects. I feel like that's any movie.
Every movie gets delayed because they're finishing special effects. They're never going to tell you because it was.
It really had to be the poor test screenings, because like we were saying earlier, then that all leads up to the secret screening at Sundance type of thing.
Yeah. So, that was like 3 weeks away.
Exactly. Sure.
That was marketing trying to figure out how they could sit there, like put this into overdrive really quick.
So I found an article from The Atlantic from 2015. It's not written by David Sims. It's written by Jacoba Urist, I don't know. And it's about the question of how much should egg donor, the title of the article is "How much should a woman be paid for her eggs?" And apparently, the ideal payment that some people were shooting for in 2015 is $5,000 to $10,000. That's not per egg. That's per the actual endeavor of donating an egg, because something I did not know, this might be something I dive into, or I would have dived into if we didn't record this right after watching the movie. Apparently, this article is saying that to donate eggs, the procedure takes 56 hours. I don't think that's 56 hours on an operating table.
Yeah.
I think
That's the process.
That's the whole process from getting the woman on the operating table, harvesting the eggs, storing them, and getting them ready for transplant. Or I don't know if I'm using the right words. But apparently, this article says that there was some guidelines from the American Society of Reproductive Medicine that capped egg donor payments at $10,000.
Oh.
And there's a lawsuit because the plaintiffs of the lawsuit argued that constituted illegal price fixing, violating antitrust law and free market principles. This is wild. And then, okay, this is good. It goes on to say, part of the lawsuit states, if the average payment for sperm donation was $75 for an hour's worth of work, the committee members reason, then a woman paid the same hourly rate should get $4,200 for the 56 hours it typically takes to donate eggs. So close to that $5,000. Sure. So, and that kind of makes sense because Sparky was trying to buy everything, like what, a brand new TV, the gaming console.
What did he say? $15,000. He'd split like 2/3 with her.
He gets $10,000. She gets $5,000. Yes. So Mila Kunis was getting over the legal limit for money for donating eggs. This is wild. I got to learn more about this. But then the counter argument to the lawsuit was because oocyte donation entails more discomfort, risk, and physical intrusion than sperm donation, sperm donor reimbursement rates are reasonably considered to underestimate the amount that is appropriate for women providing oocytes. So that's why $4,200 is kind of their bottom line, and they want $5,000 to $10,000. Okay. So
they're pretty correct.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I'm sure there's some laws, just like, legally, a kidney has no monetary value because you can't sell human organs. I'm sure that there's some law that says, if you're a woman, you can't donate all of your eggs, like you can't prematurely put yourself into menopause or something. Yes. So I would imagine that, maybe she's trying to donate for $15,000 as many eggs as she can. Not that I know what that is. This is a whole rabbit hole I'm going to go down tonight.
Rob, give your disclaimer about what gender we are when we discuss these things.
I now identify as a woman, and I want $15,000 for my eggs. No, we are white men discussing this, so we don't have the most say in how much a woman should be paid for their eggs. And I think it's come up on the podcast. I, one time with some of my friends, went down the rabbit hole of how many female eggs would you need for a spoon of human caviar. And it's a lot of human eggs because of the size of them. Like, fish eggs are a lot bigger. I have to dig up the calculations we did for that. Because we were like, what's the volume of an egg? And, how much can you fit in a spoon? And it was really expensive, I think. Or it would be a lot of eggs, but now it would be really expensive, too. Maybe we should do that. Human eggs, human caviar in the restaurant. I like that. We'd have to pay a lot for these women's eggs. I'm going to do more research. This is not the last you'll hear.
We'll call that the Cinemati's melange. That's what we call it.
Oh, that's good. Oh, man. Could you imagine salting human eggs and then eating it? That's ridiculous. That is wild. So I'm glad we got to the egg donation aspect. We also have to say that this is like the C or D plot of the movie is the Russian family being angry at Sparky, who's Vladdy in this movie, for getting his cousin to sell eggs and stuff like that. There's some fun stuff.
You do not, Rob, I think the lesson is you do not treat women like chicken.
You don't treat your cousin like chicken. I'll put that clip in because it's great.
Can we say that line of dialogue is the most convincing, piece of the entire movie?
Yes.
There's more conviction said that woman.
A Russian immigrant would say this to them.
That's what I mean. That line is said with more conviction than any other, space gobbledygook that's said for the other, 126 other minutes of the film combined.
You're absolutely right.
You did what? Shame on you.
Wait. You're telling me you convinced your cousin to sell her eggs, yeah? What the hell do you think she is? A goddamn chicken?
Dad, she wanted to do it. She wanted to do it. It wasn't on my plan.
You little shit, buddy.
She begged me. She wanted to buy some stupid telescope. The deal wasn't even very good for me.
It's a curse. The family is cursed.
I don't care what she wanted. You don't treat your cousin like chicken.
All right, Rob, I got a fun experiment for you.
Okay.
I found an article going back. It was written in January of 2015 called "The Riskiest Box Office Bets of 2015."
Sure.
Number 12 is The Seventh Son. Doesn't matter.
What the hell is that?
Number 11 is.
Is that where Julianne Moore's a witch?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember
Jeff
that one.
Bridges is there as like a wizard or something. It doesn't matter. Number 11 is Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter's on there.
Number 10 is Jurassic World.
That's risky.
Well, because remember, Jurassic Park 3 was was an unmitigated disaster.
Right, but and I guess nobody was really talking about Jurassic Park before Jurassic World in my spheres before Jurassic World.
That was one of those movies that came out of nowhere. Like,
yeah,
that's fascinating. That's like like the second highest grossing movie of the year.
I mean, we do call him the Madman. He took a risk.
I know. Did he ever? I took a risk in how stupid it was.
Can we call like Jupiter Ascending will always now be Jupiter Ascending to me? Can we call it Jurassic World?
Listen, I'm talking about this movie. It's from the trailers. There was a lot of them. It's Channing Tatum yelling Jupiter, like that is literally from my own when he drops her or something. That is how I always like. You have your way of Jupiter. Mine is always you have to exclaim the Jupiter. And she does. We should say she does ascend a lot. There's
she does.
It's both a literal and figurative act that she does.
Absolutely.
She figuratively ascends, and she literally ascends. And she descends at one point.
She does descend. Probably, though, from start to, finish, it's a net gain of ascending. I don't think she descends
up the ladder. She up the stairs. Yes. She does ascend.
There are some steps back, but she does ascend at the end of the day.
Yes, and technically, truth in advertising is very rare. So, 10 out of 10.
I've never seen Mercury Rising, but does Mercury rise?
We have to hope.
Is Mercury even a character in Mercury Rising? I have no idea what that is.
Does the thermostat go up a little?
Is that the prequel to this movie, Mercury Rising? I don't even know. Like I said, I've never seen that movie.
I'm going through this list of 2015 movies, and it's kind of amazing that we've talked about 2 of them. They're on this list, and at least another 2 of them are on the list.
Okay, what do we got?
All right, number 1, oddly enough, is The Martian. That's the riskiest film in 2015.
Really?
Which is actually the 8th highest grossing film of that year.
Yeah, that movie did really well.
It's probably the objectively best film of 2015.
Never seen that. Yeah.
It's solid. It's shockingly solid. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. with what's his name, Henry Cavill and
Armie Hammer the Cannibal.
Yes,
yep.
yes.
I've only seen that once. I need to rewatch it in my Guy Ritchie.
It's goofy.
Film. I didn't really care for
Henry Cavill is doing a Cary Grant impersonation the entire movie. It's insane.
Who's the woman in that?
Oh, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, that's what. I remember looking into when I Tomb Raider. I was like, oh yeah, she was in that. Yep.
All right, we have Fant Four Stick.
Oh, okay.
Which we will get. If there ever was a movie that maybe should be also the 300th film. It's
man, that's.
I don't know if I can keep my powder dry that long.
Sure.
I felt in this
for another year and a half.
Yeah, I know. And this is the one I think Rob will be the most fascinated by. Pan.
Oh, the movie that I didn't know existed.
Until you saw the preview.
Until I saw the preview before Jupiter Ascending. Yes, I swear, I have never heard of that movie before. I don't even think it was maybe I caught a trailer and forgot about it. I swear I knew nothing about that.
People got mad because they got really mad at Rooney Mara for whatever his cultural appropriation.
Oh, sure.
Whatever controversy that would have been. But also, we also talked about on this list is Terminator Genesis.
Ooh, okay.
We've done it in 2015 quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun
okay.
For movies.
Right on. So, Jupiter Ascending. I'm glad you said she ascends. I didn't want to miss that.
It took us, how many hours did it take for us to finally corroborate the title? I think it's for all movies, corroborate the title.
Yes.
I think Candyman. Is there a man giving out candy? Yes.
Yeah,
did we corroborate that?
Yeah. Okay.
And Friday the 13th, was there a Friday the 13th? No.
According to IMDb, it's on that tearaway calendar, which we did not see.
It's IMDb, so it's always alleged.
But none of us were looking for a calendar in the background of that movie. So, as I got to the end of my notes, I actually do have some other things I wanted to mention that are maybe not in the negative column, but maybe for the Wachowskis, something that I thought they lost a little bit of the track of. And it's something that we talked about in the Watchmen episode. It's something that I know we talked about in the last 3 weeks of the Matrix episodes. Pretty much 99% of the time, I hate speed ramping. I hate slow motion. It really bothers me for some reason. I think it's...
You're going to get a lot of that in The Matrix.
Yes. And I think that it works for me in movies like The Matrix, for the most part, the Matrix trilogy, like in Watchmen, because it's doing it for a purpose. I think there's
It's Zack Snyder.
Yeah. Watchmen, it might be on the cusp of whether it's for a purpose or not, but in the Matrix movies, I know that there's a sense of... The Matrix is so fast and so... you never have a chance to breathe. And I feel like the slow motion, the Wachowskis are using that in the Matrix movies as giving the audience a chance to breathe. It's like when after RoboCop gets shot up and there's that moment of black silence. It's like it's letting you breathe. It's like when Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron get to the sandstorm in Mad Max Fury Road. It cuts to black and it finally lets you go, okay, I can release all the tension I have. I feel like the Wachowskis were actually using quick bits of letting you breathe with slow motion and some cool visuals for an effect in the Matrix movies. And Speed Racer. Speed Racer is a great example of that, where it's like great to see this stuff, and you can understand what's going on, and there's emotional tie-in to why they're using slow motion, you know, why we see slow motion beehive get thrown at another car and stuff like that. But this one, I feel like they lost the thread. This seemed to be slow motion just to show off, oh, Channing Tatum did a flip. Yeah. And that's what I have a problem when it's slow motion just to be like, whoa, doesn't this look cool? It's those people who do slow, like the video will start in real time, and then they'll go into slow motion because they did a cool basketball shot.
To accentuate the action.
And that's what I hate. I don't like when it's used just for that purpose. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want it to be done for some reason that's actually going to give me something in the movie. And I feel like this is the one Wachowski movie that they didn't do it to that effect in. Because they did it in Cloud Atlas, in all the Neo Soul segments, because that's where most of the action in Cloud Atlas is. And I guess we should say, like, Jupiter Ascending is basically what if Neo Soul segment of Cloud Atlas was the whole movie.
Apparently that's, you probably read, right? That's where they got the idea.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, they do it for an effect there. I don't know why they lost the thread in this one, though. It's a little bit of a bummer. The other thing that caught me a little off guard, which is this is a Rob nitpick, I know you're going to think for sure. I have kind of a problem that when Mila Kunis is out in space talking to space people, they immediately understand English language colloquialisms. We should have more scenes where she says something to Channing Tatum or to Titus and they go, or they take her literally, or they go, I don't know what you mean. There's the dinner scene when Titus and her, when he is getting ready to ask her to marry him, and, you know, before she drops the vial of the 100 people to make the one vial of nectar, of spice melange, but he's saying something like, I think I know more about you than you know about yourself because you're the reincarnation of my mother. And Mila Kunis just goes, shoot. There should have been something where Titus is like, I'm not going to harm you, you know? He just immediately, though, knows that she's asking for, give me an example. Yeah. Why would space people know, not even Earth colloquialisms, English language colloquialisms? Okay. That's a nitpick.
So you want them to get even more bogged down than
Yes, I want this movie to be even more convoluted. That's actually what that is. I'm glad I didn't think of it that way, but you're right. That's what I want. I want this to be more convoluted.
I want some more nonsense.
I want, like, the space people to be Amelia Bedelia. I want them to take everything seriously, and Mila Kunis has to be like, oh, I need to learn how to interact and communicate with these space people. Sean Bean, it makes sense. He's been stationed on Earth, you know, he can get that stuff. But Channing Tatum, all the Abraxas people, the Aegis people that work with Channing Tatum, they should all have little bits and pieces of not understanding the way Mila Kunis works. And then I think it would have been really cool to have those scenes, and then there's some disbelief. Be like, oh, this is the reincarnation of the mother of the Abraxas family or something? I don't know. I wanted it to be more dense. You're right, Zach. That is a total Rob nitpick, but it bothered me near the end of the movie, where I'm like, how are they all communicating so easily? And to a lesser extent, which I forgive in this movie and all movies, apparently English is the language of the universe? That's just how it goes?
Come on, that's Star Wars.
I know, exactly. I can't be that angry because everything does that.
Rob, we speak English.
Yes.
You could be like me, be the a-hole that, like, during the Disney thing when they announced Star Wars thing. I was like, that's going to be the most immersive Star Wars thing ever. And I'm like, that should be in a language nobody recognizes because that's what Star Wars is.
Yes, I know. I can't.
You have to acknowledge it, though.
Okay, sure. To say something I did like, though, the wedding scene. Okay. They had a machine that makes the ring at the wedding.
It's a tattoo ring.
That's pretty cool. I think we should do that more often. I think we should adopt that on Earth. We should do. You don't buy the ring beforehand. You just make the ring at the wedding.
Well, maintenance. You have to worry about losing it.
Yeah,
makes marriage feel more permanent.
Absolutely.
All right, before we forget, I want just to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
All right. There's a moment in this film where one of our bounty hunters, whose allegiances are I don't know who they belong to.
Yeah, they change every scene, of course.
Yes. I don't know what the character's name is, but I know the actress's name. Her name is Bae Duna, who is...
Sure. She's the Neo Soul. She's the savior. Yep.
Yes. Her look in this movie, and I said this during the record, as we were watching it.
Yep.
Lana Wachowski saw this design and fell in love.
Yeah, the blue... crazy over the top hair.
Neon blue, purple, and done the exact same way.
Absolutely.
You know, the only thing that's missing in Lana's wardrobe is the goggles.
Yes. Which she might wear out and about, you know?
It's in a drawer, just waiting.
Yes, exactly.
Waiting for steampunk
to come. I'm glad you brought that back up, because when we saw her in the movie and you mentioned it, I'm like, yes. You're right. She could have played that character in this movie.
That'd be fun. That would have been fun.
Absolutely.
Like a cameo, like a Hitchcock moment.
Yes. Okay. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say about Jupiter Ascending? I think we covered it in grand circular fashion, but I think we got to everything I wanted to mention. Yeah. Were there any other moments or any other final thoughts you wanted to say?
As of now, right now.
Okay. Well, then before we get to our questions, I want to do my rankings. This is going to change, I think. I think this is tough.
I think I can contribute this outside of Bound.
Maybe when we... yeah, absolutely. Maybe when we
like, of course.
When we go back and actually record the Matrix trilogy episodes, maybe this will move around a little bit. But I think I'm pretty solid because I've seen... Now, only Bound and Jupiter Ascending are the only ones I've seen once. I've seen every other Wachowski's movies at least 2 times.
Rob is watching Cloud Atlas as we speak.
I wish I was. I fucking love that movie. So, number 7. Zach's going to get mad at me. But also, remember, I love all these movies. They have to be ranked, though. They have to be.
I don't think I get... There's really nothing I would get frustrated.
Number 7 is Matrix Revolutions. My least favorite is the third Matrix. And I know we'll get into that more.
In that regard.
Exactly.
I hope you're aware
we'll
of
get into that more when we discuss that one. But like I said, I still like it. It's a crazy goddamn movie. It's a wild choice, which I'm sure we discussed last week, to blind Neo near the beginning of the movie. It's a fantastic decision.
No, that's the end.
Oh, that's the end of the second one?
No, it's toward the end of that's like halfway through the third movie.
So, okay, I thought it was a little earlier.
That's when Hayden and Trinity go off on the... Jesus, bro, we just talked about these movies last week.
Oh, God, you're right.
You noob! God!
I haven't seen
dementia?
Matrix Revolutions in a week.
You dementia-ridden podcaster, you.
My number 6, a great film, I'm going to put Bound. Okay. My reason for that is that I don't know if Bound is worth rewatching. Bound is the most grounded Wachowski's movie, but it is a crime thriller. Like, it is very much, once you know what's going to happen, I don't think there's stuff to gain from rewatching it. I will rewatch it eventually, but I don't think I'm really going to get anything because it's all about the tension and all about the suspense of, like, the mafia, the 2 women trying to get the money, the cops showing up, that type of stuff. It's a very good movie, like I said, but I don't think it's as deep as a lot of the other Wachowski stuff. Number 5, this was tough, Jupiter Ascending. Okay. Just because I've seen it once, I feel like if I rewatch it, this might change, and the other 4 that I'm going to get to I love so much, but this was great. This is, I think, in the same sense as Bound, or in the opposite sense of Bound, I think if I rewatch this again, I'm going to get more from it. At least in terms of understanding dialogue more, now that I know some jargon and things like that. Number 4, the original Matrix movie.
Okay.
None
of this is controversial.
No, not at all. Yeah, I know, but I think like you said it best earlier. I'm the one that's got the controversial ranking. And we said it best in our episode. The original Matrix is a little dry. We understand why it's so impactful and influential, but it is a little dry. Yeah. It doesn't have that spark.
There's a lot of hold handing in it.
But it is really good, I have to say. I love Matrix. No. Number 3, The Matrix Reloaded. Okay. I love that movie so goddamn much. As I'm sure he talked about, I gave all my thoughts on that 2 weeks ago. Now, this is where it got tough. But we
all know what it is.
Number 2 is Speed Racer.
Yeah,
love that goddamn movie. And number 1 is Cloud Atlas.
To me, third place was the most interesting one of this.
Yes.
That was the one I was like, okay, I know the chips are going to fall on this.
So now the thing is, Cloud Atlas is one of the Wachowski movies that we're going to do later on, because we didn't do it in this series. We're going to get to it eventually. I don't know where it's going to fit in, but we have to cover Cloud Atlas. They didn't direct the entire thing. No. Tom Tykwer is also the director on that, but are we comfortable saying that that's still a Wachowski's movie?
Yeah, they were producers.
Okay, they had a lot of the thought behind it and stuff like that, but I think, if I remember correctly, it's something like they only directed 60% of it, maybe 55 or 60, something like that. And Tom Tykwer does great work. I think he directs the Robert Frobisher segments with Ben Whishaw, which is some of my favorite stuff in the movie.
Well, of course, the more elaborate stuff is there.
The Neo Soul, I know they do, and I think they do all the Tom Hanks to the True in the future and stuff like that, where Hugo Weaving plays the embodiment of insecurity or something like that. It's the True.
I forgot about that. Jesus.
Zach forgot about it. I didn't, and that's the True.
Rob lives in the Cloud Atlas universe.
I love that movie so
Halle
much.
Berry.
Playing an Asian at a certain point. And a Jew. She plays a Jew at a certain point. So Matrix Revolutions, Bound, Jupiter Ascending, The Matrix Reloaded, Speed Racer, and Cloud Atlas. Those are great movies, and I love them all. It's always great to find a filmography, longer than Henry Selick's, where I love every single movie.
So I have some slight changes to my Wachowski rankings, especially now after rewatching all of the Matrix movies. I still love all these movies, don't get me wrong. There is not a single Wachowski's film I do not absolutely adore and would watch again at any moment in time. But I do think that my ranking has changed since revisiting all of these films. So my new updated ranking, number 7, is now Jupiter Ascending. Once again, not something that I dislike. I just don't really... I didn't really feel the attraction to it as much as I have some other Wachowski movies, but that may well be because I haven't had enough time to live with it. When I record this little correction to throw into this episode, I think, we are basically 3 months since Zack and I actually recorded it, so I've had a little more time to stew over it, and I have not rewatched Jupiter Ascending. So my number 7 is Jupiter Ascending. My number 6 is now Bound. So I have rewatched Bound, and like I said in this episode, while I don't think there's much to gain from rewatching Bound, its exercise in tension is so well done that it is worth rewatching just for that emotional state it puts you in. And I really appreciate that. And Joey Pants is fantastic in that movie, and I could watch him over and over and over, a lot more than I could watch Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum in Jupiter Ascending. My new number 5, and this is the only one that's going to be the last one, I should say, that's going to be different from my rankings I gave in this main recording. My number 5 is now The Matrix Revolutions. And then number 4, The Matrix. Number 3, The Matrix Reloaded. Number 2, Speed Racer. Number 1, Cloud Atlas. Now, when I was thinking about this, it actually brought something to my attention that I don't really think I had thought of before, especially rewatching the 3 Matrix movies for the past 3 weeks of this podcast. I don't really see The Matrix as 3 films. I see it as a trilogy, as 3 films, all strewn together. And of course, as you've heard, I not only see The Matrix in that way, but I see it with all the cracks and crevices filled in with the Animatrix and Enter the Matrix and things like that. So I guess what I'm saying is these rankings that I've just given, both, in the main recording and just now to update my rankings of the Wachowski movies, this is what I would have to do to rank them as individual films. Like if you asked me to separate The Matrix, Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions, this is what you're going to get. But I think if you group together the Matrix trilogy, that would easily be my number 1. I think I would say number 1 is the Matrix trilogy, and then Cloud Atlas, and then Speed Racer, and then Bound, and then Jupiter Ascending. But that's something that Zack and I have talked about off mic before. Is Kill Bill 1 and 2, is that 1 movie or 2 movies? Is Dune, when Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 comes out, if that happens, even though it's announced, who knows if it's going to happen, is that 1 movie or 2, that type of thing. It's very interesting to me, and I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, back to the episode. I think next thing is our questions.
Rob loves a good filmography.
So Zach, what are your thoughts? What's your?
You're fine. That list is fine.
What are your thoughts on your rankings though? For the
number
Wachowskis?
1 is I haven't watched Revolutions in forever, but like Matrix Revolutions,
yep.
Speed Racer,
sure. Bound. Placeholder for Bound. When
everything else, like I said, I'm different than Rob. Like after, I know what I like. Everything else kind of like I can tell you what I really like and what I don't like.
Sure.
There's none other films I genuinely dislike. I like everything they've done except for Bound because I haven't seen it.
Yep.
No, like I said, Matrix Revolutions is fun because I just like. And it's so funny. I just remember coming out of that movie in November of 2003.
Yeah.
And deliberately lying about it because my mother went to go see it because I wanted to own the DVD even though I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't like it at the time.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's grown on me because I told you one of my favorite cinematic moments is to this day. Trinity in the club with the Merovingian. He's going through this entire elaborate. This is the Wachowski's version of Indiana Jones shooting the swordsman.
Yeah.
Where the Merovingian goes on this 5-minute diatribe about
the eyes of the oracle. Oh yeah.
And she goes, "We don't have time for this," and puts a gun to his head.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's wonderful,
and it's great. And the fact the first 30 minutes of the movie is just Neo in a train station.
Yeah.
In the band train station. After how everybody was just waiting for this massive conclusion, which you do get by the end of the movie.
Absolutely.
The Matrix Revolutions has its problems. The fact it pretty much relies on the same gag that we see in the first 2 films with Neo fighting Agent Smith. But no, the whole idea where Neo goes and confronts the I'm going to call it the hive mind of the machines.
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, we don't need your help. And he's like, so I've made an egregious mistake and I should be killed right on the spot. And I'm like I love that. And I'm like, okay, somebody being so confident in their, like, a bit, like, just in their beliefs and their abilities. They're like, then fine, if I'm wrong, kill me. It means no difference to me then.
Yep.
And they're like because you have your deal, or, like, human.
Yeah.
And it's like... And
Program Smith has gotten out of your control, yeah.
It's like Wachowski's nothing. It's said so matter-of-factly. I think people are so used to the... oh God, even back in 2003, the bombastic nature of everything. Where now, like, everything has to be boiled down to this huge conclusion where, again, not to go back to our favorite punching bag of the Avengers, where it just can't, where it's like, we have to have the battlefield, one on one side, one on the other.
Yep. Oh God, yeah.
But that's where also, like, the Wachowskis get very gratuitous too. We're like, we've already seen Agent Smith and Neo fight how many times in these movies?
Sure.
And we get another 30-minute time just punching each other into oblivion.
Yeah.
And the best part of that is just how it ends, where, like, he what's it, him. And
yes,
it's like, is it over?
Him,
it's like his where Hugo Weaving's actually pretty good. Where he's not just playing an evil robot. Which
when he screams, I think it's "Why" at the end of the Matrix Revolutions. That is awesome.
And it's like, because I can, and that's where Keanu Reeves. You got to give him credit for being Keanu, because only he could deliver that. Every other actor would try too hard. He's just very reserved. No, Revolutions is great. Yes. Then even the very ending with the Oracle and the Architect, where it's like, how long is this going to last? He's like, you promise this will last as long as it can. And like, this is great. Like, this is great. Like, it's philosophy, and that's where people can throw the Architect kind of out with the bath water.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, this is great.
Architect is wonderful. I can't wait till we get to the recording the Matrix Reloaded episode, because my quote at the start will probably be the entirety of the Architect.
And once again, Rob will say, "I'm not Griffin. I'm not Griffin." Jesus Christ, Rob, this is the Griffin thing to do.
Oh,
he probably did the exact same thing. In all honesty, if you go back to the Matrix, he probably did the exact same thing. But it ended with the word podcast, or Rob will just do the entire
Yeah, we don't do that, yes. So, yes, it's going to be great. I will probably have to listen to this before we do the Matrix movies, but I will actually edit it after we do the Matrix movies to maybe cut out some overlap, or we keep this as a weird time capsule of September 8th, 2021, when Zack and I were together. So, that brings us to our questions. I think this is an easy one. This is such an easy one. Cinemodities, I wrote down in all caps, absolutely. This is a movie for this podcast, like we were saying. And Late Night, 100%. This is the type of convoluted nonsense that I want to have somebody in my clutches for. Just like Southland Tales, just like a little less or so Under the Silver Lake. This is something that, people need to be inundated with. And I will hold the torch for.
That's a nice verb, inundated.
Yes.
That's an appropriate word.
So we're in agreement, Cinemati. What do you think for Late Night? That's okay.
Absolutely, because this is like we talk about, like, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which is one of those films I'm always terrified of, because I think it's so just bizarre.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a franchise killer, which is a very potent thing. This is, like, on that same level, though, but, like, imagine, like, if Dr. Chalice, whoever her name is, I forget, the 15-year-old girl that he brings to, like, an abandoned town.
And the only reason I remember Tom Atkins plays Dr. Chalice is because she says, "Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?"
He does say her name, doesn't he? Like, he's got the stupid question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does, yeah.
The thing about it, imagine that movie, but it was by, like, who are popular actors in the, like, 80s? Like, who would that be? I don't know, like, Warren Beatty and somebody else.
Jeez, yeah.
Kathleen Turner, maybe.
Okay.
Imagine, like, that's what this is. You have the sugar coating. It's there.
Yeah, you're right.
At least as Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis are still pop culture celebrities.
Yep.
You've got your sugar coating.
So it's like, it's the thing that's going to make
you can't blame people.
He's going to lube it up.
Yes,
yep,
it is.
absolutely.
It's great. And that's what it is. It has, and that's kind of, like, probably the true part of the blockbuster disaster part of Cinemodities, and that you need that sugar coating.
Yes.
To dupe the normies.
Absolutely.
You need that. Like, with Fanforstic, it's going to be the brand.
I would say same thing with Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah. Mortal Engines is the only one, I guess, no. Yeah, where it doesn't have the sugar coating.
Because that didn't have anybody of note in it except Hugo Weaving, but he wasn't
they plastered Peter Jackson's name over it. But by that point,
exactly.
By 2018, Peter Jack, God, that's almost 10 years removed from The Lovely Bones.
Yes.
And where he spent a lot of his cachet on that. So, I don't know. Mortal Engines is a weird one, too. Like everything else, it's a weird one.
Absolutely.
It's odd even in the Cinemodities realm.
Yep. Well, then I guess that brings us to snacks, and oh boy, there's some good snacks in this one.
Well, Rob already has
the human caviar. That's going to be in there, of course. So I think just from, like, maybe combine these two, maybe make them like one, like, location in the restaurant, because we already have some, like, medical facility or something for us or the workers or whatever.
Infirmary, and at some point infirmary's been in the spreadsheet.
Exactly. I would like to, one, include that, an egg harvesting thing, so we can actually harvest some eggs to make the caviar.
Do we try to make the Cinemodities Melange? Do we try to actually harvest? Is that what we're going to call it?
I have that too. I would like to try and harvest people for immortality.
Okay.
But really, I'm kind of... I don't know if we have the recipe of how to make 100 people into immortals, or into immortal juice, whatever it is, the melange. I kind of really just want that medical table that we see twice in the movie, where, like, I think, like...
You turn into blue goo?
Well, just the table itself, where I think it's a dragon person's laying back, and then you see the mother laying back in it. It's just like a medical table where a bunch of syringes and blades can get really close to your face.
Then you blow up into blue dust.
Yeah. I just want that medical table for something, And maybe anytime someone goes to the infirmary, they have to lay on that table.
May I please bring up the idea? We haven't talked about this movie yet, but it is a huge part in my favorite movie props of all time.
Okay.
We have I didn't know there was more than one. There is another.
Okay.
We have the medical table in Jupiter Ascending.
Yes.
And there's the medical tanning bed of the future in Elysium.
Oh,
it's the opposite. They're opposites. One cures you, one dissolves you into blue dust.
I'm even thinking the medical table that cuts out the thing
Prometheus.
In Prometheus. Yeah.
God, wow, that's that could be its own series. Medical tables in movies.
Medical table series. I'm going to put that in the spreadsheet when I think of that.
We've got two so far. We've got Prometheus, and we've got this, and Elysium is somewhere out floating in the distance.
Yes, absolutely. I guess also, speaking of the infirmary, get rid of like conventional bandages or anything. Maxi pads. Let's have maxi pads. Maxi pad field dressing. Exactly.
There's no reason why we're even in common workplaces today. If you have gauze, you do not need that. You have it for both. God. You have it for medical wounds and injuries, and you have it for women for their time of the month.
That is such a ridiculous line from Mila Kunis, where she's like, "Luckily, this car is owned by a woman," and just pulls out a maxi pad from the glove compartment.
Do you remember the Scary Movie 3, where I think it's Regina King's bleeding from the nose, and oh god, what's her name? Anna Faris pulls out a tampon.
Yeah.
That's a gag. And it's scary. Well, just talk about connection. Very similar to Scary Movie 3, which parodies The Matrix Reloaded with George Carlin.
Mm-hmm. It's been out there ever since, killing, just like Pootie Tang. we mentioned that in the Pootie Tang episode.
Pootie Tang reference in this.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I think the only other hand, well, of course, this goes without saying, we should incorporate in the restaurant as a complaint filing system, whether it be against other customers or against workers, and it can go for any workers could complain about other workers, customers complain about workers.
A human resources bureaucracy.
Yeah, it'd be this would go in the human resources field. Tax grievances. I want people to be able to file tax grievances. I don't even know what a tax grievance is. If it has to be a real thing because it pops up.
Oh yeah.
Just
type in Google tax grievance.
I just would love to have a customer be like, I'd like to file a tax grievance.
I can't even say that with a straight face.
I love that phrase. A tax grievance occurs when the property owner feels they are overpaying on their property tax or that the value of their home is less than the town has assessed.
Yeah, I've done that.
Information is then collected to determine whether or not a tax grievance can be filed.
Yeah, okay. I've done that before.
Right on.
I have first-hand experience, Rob, with tax grievances.
So are you saying that you have filed a tax grievance before?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah, not too long ago I did that. Yeah.
I think that, everybody should write in and say Zack is cool.
But can we please introduce the plot thread of if you want to be able to go through the bureaucracy, you have to start bribing people?
Oh, of course.
And we're the ones that accept the bribes.
Bribes are a necessity in the Cinemati's restaurant. For tax grievances and for many other things, I think. Absolutely.
For edible food.
Yeah. For real food, you have to bribe the waiter to be like, so what can I actually eat on this menu,
Well, you can eat anything. It's whether it's digestible.
Exactly. Yes.
It's just exactly. 20. It's okay.
I like that. I like that people bribe the waiter and say, what can I actually eat on the menu? And it's this weird monkey paw thing where they're like, you said edible, not safe to consume, that type of thing. And then I think the only other one I had was from a quick line at the beginning in I guess, Russian, we're hearing them speak in. We see the subtitle in Russian, one of them say, I have a latke for you, bitch. So I was thinking, just put latkes on the menu and call it a latke for you, bitch.
I also noticed they had a giant, dish of just sausages.
Yes, or maybe very stereotypically Russian, I guess. So those were all I had. What did you have?
Do you know what nationality the Wachowskis are?
I believe Polish. I believe Polish when I looked up.
So they probably have some level of that.
Exactly. So just because of the name Wachowskis,
we can't cancel them for that.
And the Chicago thing, because I know there's a lot of Polish immigrants in Chicago.
Yeah, we can't cancel them for that.
No, not at all. So what did you think, Zack, for snacks?
Well, the Maxi Pad field dressing.
Yes, we like that. Yeah,
we have that. The Cinemati's melange, as we're calling.
Yes. Do we want to keep it at you need 100 people to make a vial, or do we want to like inherently just be like, let's do 300 for a vial? Maybe it's inefficient, but why the fuck not? You know,
I like the idea of just like I think we should be the ones. Obviously, we're in control of the Cinemati's melange.
Yes,
and we should how do we want to do it? Is it like bathing in it? Is it snorting it? Is it a suppository?
I like that. You want immortality? Bend over. Oh, that's pretty good. I don't know. I mean,
how much do we charge for the melange?
I'll probably.
Do we export it, or do we keep it for ourselves?
I'm thinking keep it for ourselves. Okay. Yeah. I was even thinking, if we do make this melange for immortality, we have a good, bank of people. All the people trapped in the restaurant, can't find their way out. We just scoop them up and do whatever we got to do. Put them in the Pope thing to make them blue goo. That type of the Pope thing. It's great. I think I would keep it. The sister, Tuppence Middleton, takes a bath in it. Yeah. That's probably the most efficient way.
Does it get dirty though? Like, doesn't it lose its power? Like, it's kind of like any sort of pool. When do you drain it and like purify it?
That's a good.
If that's the case, just have a pool of it. Let people soak it up.
Sure. Yeah, we don't really know. I guess we might have to do some test runs.
What are the logistics of the melange?
Yeah, we'll have to make some melange and start do some test runs. Like, what if you have to bathe in it to keep your that's how it gets in your skin and keeps your cells young, because they are achieving biological immortality. They can still get murdered, and Eddie Redmayne presumably dies from falling from a large height.
We have to hope that he doesn't. We need him back.
Well, of course. But what would happen if you just drank it? Would it work the same way? Would your organs be young, but you might still look old on the outside? What if you take a suppository? What does that do to you? We need to run some trials.
What if you start having sex with it? Does it create life?
Sex with a liquid?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
I don't know. Considering at one point we see the one brother has an orgy.
Yeah, only good news in here.
In the non-gravity space orgy.
Yes.
At some point, a certain biological male fluid has gotten into the melange. I would imagine.
Ooh, okay.
What happens then? Do you have to drain the whole pool? Is like the equivalent of a thing of ice at the restaurant and there's a broken glass, you just got to get rid of it all?
That's a good question. I think we got to run trials.
Can we have different colors of the melange? Can we dye it different colors?
Yes, I hope so.
Christmas time, we dye it red.
Halloween, be orange or something like that.
It's the orange melange.
Easter would be pink. Ben Affleck's birthday, I don't know, blood red.
Ben Affleck colored.
Ben Affleck colored. Someone once said to me, they described something as donut colored, and I was like, "The fuck is that?" Exactly. I was like, I've seen a lot of different colored donuts. What does that mean? They're like,
brown, just like fried dough.
Donut colored, and I was like, no. I was like, I reject what you're saying to me right now. Pick another object. Oh, that was Alexa. She was wild. She had weird ways of saying things like donut color. Any other snacks, Zach? For Jupiter?
I don't know.
What about we call it Jupiter ass-skending? Like we pronounce the C, but we don't pronounce the J. We just fuck it up.
Oh, God. I don't know. I feel I don't know. We got to talk about the telescope.
Oh.
Maybe we have a birthing chamber in a shipping container?
Yes. We didn't talk about that.
We talk about the prelude to all this. This is a weird movie.
James Darcy gets killed just because of a robbery.
He has a pregnant wife. He's like, don't touch my telescope. No wonder why she wants to sit there and do that. Ever since she was like a fetus in the womb, she's being taught that her life is worth less than a telescope.
Yep.
Her father's like, you can have the pregnant wife, just leave the telescope.
Yeah, that's a good point. He does James Darcy at the beginning seems upset when he has to take a break from looking at things with his telescope to rub Vaseline on the pregnant wife's stomach. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, with an infinite void, a telescope would be good. We never really talked about which dimension it's infinite. Maybe we have a night sky sometimes that people can look at,
Anything's possible in a void. Anything's possible.
Exactly, anything's possible.
Okay, bear with me here.
Cigarettes. We have cigarettes.
Goddamn right we have cigarettes. Do we have spacecrafts in the restaurant? And if they do, can we have elephant guys pilot them?
Oh.
He's pretty rad.
I don't think we have any spacecrafts. We just have the helicopters, and maybe there's a tram or something, or a trolley car. I feel like we've had ground level transportation.
I feel like transportation should be its own tab in the restaurant.
Oh yeah, it probably should be. That's actually a good thought. Thank God I don't have to edit this for 110 days. But yeah, let's throw some spacecraft. Maybe the thing that Duna Bay is riding, that little land speeder or whatever. Maybe have
Rob,
that.
we forgot the most important thing from this film.
Okay.
Rocket boots.
Rocket boots. Why doesn't everybody in the world have rocket boots?
Universe.
It should be
It comes with a pad and paper.
A living creature's right to have rocket boots. Eddie Redmayne needed rocket boots at the end of the movie. Many people falling.
He also needed like a vocal coach as well. But we will get into that.
Rocket boots. Okay, I like that. Maybe rocket boots in the restaurant, not for the customers.
No, we don't sell them.
I think
it's an exclusive. That could be like our version of like an iPhone or AirPods.
Geez.
Rocket boots.
Okay,
that's our path to being in the black. Robert.
I was thinking we should keep it just for very key employees like us. Like, maybe some of the higher ups.
How this? We sell the rocket boots. But we do not provide them to the employees. It's like working a construction site, making them buy their own gloves.
Yeah, okay, yep. When I worked at a deli once, I had to wear non-slip shoes, and I had to buy them. Just like that. We make our employees buy part of their uniform.
Yes.
Perfect. I'm sold on that.
Okay.
Fucking rocket boots. I wish, that's one lore I wish we had explained more. I wish they said something like, to make a comparison I dislike, Michael Rooker in Guardians of the Galaxy, he seems to be the only one with that arrow that he can whistle with. I wish they said something that Channing Tatum was the only one with rocket boots, and they're special somehow.
I like how they took away his wing with the rocket boots he can keep, which are 100% better.
Yes! They're way more versatile. They're harder to hit. You can't, it would be difficult to rip them off to any
At no
extent.
point anyone's trying to aim for the rocket boots.
Exactly.
There's going to be a point where, like, what's his name? I was going to say Timothy Chalamet. Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne should, shoot the boots.
Yes,
Going back to my sober 17 months ago, shoot the boots.
Shoot the boots. Shoot the boots. And then the dragon guy would have been like, yes, my lord. We will shoot the boots. That's crazy.
I like how there's also a hierarchy of the dragon men.
Yes.
They're the first one is told, threatened, if you don't get this done, it's going to be your head.
Yep.
He begs for mercy. Poor dragon man begs for mercy.
Yeah.
He gets turned into melange.
Yep.
And then we get another one.
With a leather jacket. This movie is utterly wonderful, man.
Can we please talk about a little bit real quick? I know we're at the end of this with the logistics of this, like deal making. Eddie Redmayne kidnaps Mila Kunis' family.
Yes.
Is leverage, so she will sign over the rights to the earth.
Yes.
Which is something I can't
she
believe
will abdicate her royalties, so he'll get earth and whatever else she owns.
I would imagine there's some reason why kidnapping someone is a tax grievance. I would imagine kidnapping royalty's family is also some level of a crime.
Sure, I would imagine. Oh, and then even when I think Eddie Redmayne slaps or starts to choke Mila Kunis, his little helper is like, is this wise before the abdication, sire? And it's so clearly
there's rules.
There's really intense rules.
They're criminals that they believe in the rule of law.
Yeah.
They do shady ass things, but somehow the rules still play.
Yeah.
So why can't? So there's a reason why that I am going to murder your family unless you abdicate the throne. Mm-hmm. Why not just literally be like, it's mine now, bitch. I'm going to lock you up here forever.
That's a good...
It's mine now. No one's going to hear. Anyone says you align with you align with me. They made it pretty clear, they made it subtly clear, very implicitly, that Eddie Redmayne and the mother were very close.
Yes.
Why couldn't he just lock her up in a chamber and be like, okay?
I
know it's a movie. I know it's a movie,
sure.
But considering this movie gets so bogged down literally in bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm. Even with the marriage stuff with Titus... That seems very much we have to follow these rules.
There's a rule.
It's very, much just like you said, throw her in a cage or something.
But this is the thing where even David Lynch Dune, because obviously I've never read the original Dune, even gets around this where it's just okay, the Emperor doesn't like the Atreides. Have the Arconans pull back, throw the Atreides in there, and we'll just sit there. It's a way of just kind of wiping the slate clean all at once.
Exactly.
And it's are there rules? Yeah, but okay, who's going to enforce them? Yeah. I'm the Emperor.
You even bring up a good point with I don't know if we're told what's the time difference between Mother Abraxas dying and Mila Kunis being rebirthed.
How old is Mila Kunis? It's got to be 20 years.
Exactly. So it's at least that. But is there a time period
in their chronological lifespan? It's the equivalent of an evening. It's she died.
Sure.
And then Eddie Redmayne looks at his watch. He's like, oh, and she's back.
The sister says something I'm 14 14 millennia old. And she's like, you'd be surprised how fast it goes. So in their context, yes, it is pretty quick.
Literally nothing. He literally murders mother and he turns around and she's right. It's like that, oh God, you probably know that meme where Mo is throwing Barney out of the bar.
Oh yeah,
Barney
he's right there, yeah.
That is literally what is happening to Eddie Redmayne.
Exactly.
He must be just more confused. Maybe that's why he makes such bad decisions, is he's just confused.
But I think what I'm thinking the most about is why is there even any talk about their inheritance? they seem to know that a genetic reoccurrence will occur, and when the genetic occurrence happens and is found, they're just like, oh, now she has control of Earth.
Well, isn't that something they've established, though? That's something that does... But they say that this has happened before.
Yes.
But the mother did not leave explicit directions in this instance, right? Isn't there something like that?
They do say that, and also, she doesn't have her inheritance as the genetic occurrence until she goes to the bureaucracy.
But this is my question, though. This is almost like a legal question. This is why I want to talk to the Wachowskis about this.
Yes.
It's the idea that, like, let's say you have a parent and a child. The parent dies, bequeaths everything, and let's just say, for the sake of argument, 5 years later, that parent turns out to be alive.
Sure.
Well, they disappeared, something they come back.
Yeah.
What is the legal recourse to that? I don't know.
Good question.
Can the court, unless it was appraised at the time of death as to what the estate is... Like,
I have no idea.
In all honesty, this movie should just be like, all this happens, and Eddie Redmayne's just like, it's mine.
Yeah, that's what you'd expect from this type of movie. But I like I said, I kind of love how convoluted and bogged down in this legal thing it gets. They should be showing this in law school. This would lead to great conversations between lawyers, I think. Yes. Because they'd be like, who owns this industry? And clearly there's some competitors that are making it. And,
but this is the fun thing, though. Like, at one point, Mila Kunis is like, how can any one person own the Earth? It's like, it's property.
Exactly. The sister says, she's like, it's just another planet. Yeah.
It's like, you own land. Like, as I said, I remember back in, like, what was it? You learn about, like, the plight of the Native Americans?
Yes.
From The Shining?
Yes.
And they teach us very explicitly.
I remember when my 6th grade teacher came in with the Calumet flower and started telling us all about
Jack Torrance and Wendy Torrance and Danny. Well, that'd be great, Rob. One day, like, for every reason, like, you just, like, you retire, you just want to be, like, a high school teacher, you become, like, an American history teacher, and, like, okay, we're going to talk about the plight of the Native Americans, you just show The Shining.
Yep.
Like, the principal gets phone calls asking, like, why are you showing The Shining as part of the curriculum? And you just pass the Blu-ray of Room 237 across the desk, and you're like...
Yep. Oh, yeah, you're like, give this a watch.
But, like, it's that notion of, like when the, like, Europeans came over, the Native Americans had no idea what was happening, because, like, how can you own things? So then it was, like, the equivalent of owning the oxygen.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But to Mila Kunis, like, you want property. Everything is property.
Exactly.
As an American, as somebody who lives in the 21st century, everything is property to be owned.
100%.
Like, this should not be baffling as a thing to you.
Yeah. Especially for someone who, works as a cleaner, cleaning people's property. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one thing about even what's really fascinating about this. She has, like, there's no, like, oh God, classism in this.
Very little, yeah.
Like, it's there, but, like, it doesn't hit you over the head. Like,
exactly.
In the same way, like what the Wachowskis would do for V for Vendetta, where it's like, Bush, Iraq.
Yeah, exactly.
Where Alan Moore's like, Jesus Christ, couldn't you have done this somewhere else?
Getting killed because he has a picture of William Hurt as the Queen.
He eats butter. That's why he dies.
Oh, yes, the butter. You have, Natalie Portman, you have butter. Where'd you get it? Oh, I still...
No, that's V who has the butter, right?
Oh, V has the butter.
Sorry, I haven't seen that movie.
I can't believe you have butter. Where'd you get it? I remember the first
time
I ever saw... The first time I ever saw
John Hurt's
V for Vendetta.
Train.
Yeah, the first time I saw V for Vendetta, I was watching it with some people, and one of them, like, in the beginning of the movie, was like, Natalie Portman is so hot in this. And one of my other friends retorted, especially when she shaves her head, right? I thought it was great.
Well, because she wore, like, the little girl's costume at point to, like, impress, like, the religious official.
Yeah.
And literally everybody all at once just went.
Yes. All right, Zack. Well, we did it. 200 episodes. We hope we make it between now and 200.
I hope this has to end.
This is going to be like the truly lost episode.
We do not want... one thing we don't want to do is dip Cinemodities in the Cinemodities melange.
Definitely.
We do not want this podcast to live forever.
It will end eventually, of course.
It will live in the annals.
When Zack and I have children, we will explicitly state they cannot continue Cinemodities.
Yes, that'll be in the will.
We have no heirs for Cinemodities.
Until it gets reincarnated.
Yeah. So, I guess with that being said, since we're recording this so early, it's kind of weird. Thanks for being with us for 300 episodes. Thanks for being with us through this whole year, which included the 2004 year as the majority of it. We have zero idea of what we're doing next.
Yeah,
I think the only thing that could possibly be on the docket is the Matrix Resurrections.
Which at this point we do not know if it's even being released in 2020.
Yes.
And it's still a giant question mark.
So this is going to be a great time capsule when people listen to it. Maybe when we have some thoughts, maybe earlier in this month we said what our next series
I like the idea
that
probably at the beginning of this series we will be telling people, we'll be hinting at. In last week's episode, you will have more of an idea of what we will be doing than we do right now.
Yes, exactly.
Well, should we show some ideas out there? So, maybe for the end of 200 episodes, we go through some of of the series and see if any of that comes to fruition.
Okay. Yeah, we got a good bit in the spreadsheet. This
Do you
enough.
think in 2022 we'll actually do a director series?
We'll have to do a director. I mean, I don't know what director
Rob,
it'll be.
we're going on our 4th year, and that was like the first thing in the spreadsheet was David Lynch and Stanley Kubrick.
I don't know if we'll do those. We might do some more obscure stuff that I like another Henry Selick.
That's so small, though.
Sure.
When I think of a series, it's got to be at least 4.
Yeah, who else would we do? Who other directors? Zach's already said he doesn't want to do Aronofsky.
Oh, God, no.
I never want to go through the Schumacher movies again.
That's your own fault.
Who else? I don't know.
Tarantino
is a possibility.
That's the obvious one.
Exactly.
Because we've never done the
obvious one. I don't know who else I'd really want to do. I don't have any thoughts, at least top of my mind. We've also, though, had some good series that we've thought of that are not directed. Still, I think one day, maybe it's not next year, but sometime, the Revisiting series. It would be great to revisit some things like Southland Tales, Wonder Chosen, which won't be really revisiting, just doing more episodes of Wonder Chosen.
But definitely would circle around to some of the ones that we discussed originally.
Absolutely. What else we got? I've said before, I said earlier this year, I would like to do the Roald Dahl adaptation series. I think that's some fun stuff. I've also thought about doing a video game movie series. There's some really weird stuff we could talk about in there. Don't you want to talk about Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time? Jesus Christ. I think that's a yes from Zack. And we could finally do Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. I know you've been waiting to do that.
Oh, my God.
A director I've had in the spreadsheet for a while that I don't even want to pull the trigger on, Miyazaki. What's the point of talking about the Miyazaki movies, That's just these are great and everybody thinks they're great type of discussion. I still want to do, which Zach will probably never let happen again, to go back to TV shows and discuss the short-form 11-minute shows.
Nope.
Then, okay, Zach, I'm fine.
It's just going to be an Aqua Teen Hunger Force thing.
I'm fine with not doing that, but we need a way to work in the Shivering Truth somehow. We have to talk about the Shivering Truth one day.
Happen next year. I can guarantee that won't happen.
It's going to happen eventually.
It's become almost a gag now that that's been on the list forever, and that we'll never get to it.
I know in the spreadsheet before you took your hiatus, we were planning the 2000 summer blockbusters and the 2010 summer blockbusters, but now the anniversaries have passed.
But one thing I will say will happen next year, there's not going to be a 2002 4 year.
Yes,
but it will be its own series. There'll be at least 4. It's probably May. If I had to guess, May 2022.
Is this our new tradition? Every year we do the 20-year anniversary movies. Okay,
that's what 2000 was going to be until I had the emotional rise.
Exactly.
2002 will happen. And we'll go through, we'll talk about some stuff from 2002.
Yes.
It'll just be one month, though. It will not be a 4 year. Not even a 4 month.
Something I've been interested in, I think we've both been for a while, but we were talking about how it's going to be very disenfranchising, the Incomprehensible Masterpieces series, where we have things like After Last Season, Wicked World, Exterminator City that I put on there.
Okay.
That's always interesting, but that's going to be a tough one. Oh, I like the Zack in the spreadsheet has, we're going to space movies.
But there's even stuff too, there's the weird Disney movies thing where you have Return to Oz, The Black Hole, Country Bears, Inspector Gadget. Inspector Gadget's actually up there with one of those movies should destroyed careers. That series, the series
that I was just about to say, that is a really good one. I really want to do that. Speaking of directors, when you said movies that should have ruined careers, I would love to finish up. There's only 3 more. The Matthew Bright filmography. Because it's Freeway, Freeway 2, and Tiptoes, the movie where Gary Oldman plays a midget. I would love to finish that up.
Oh God, Freeway. Forgot about Freeway.
And we get some more Reese Witherspoon.
Colossal Flops, Waterworld, Ishtar.
Oh, we will have to do Waterworld and Ishtar.
I feel like at some point we talk about Miss March now that Trevor Moore is dead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
R.I.P. Trevor Moore.
Yes, Ben and I talked about that on the Patreon, but we have not talked about it. This is literally 4 months after it happened. We're saying it now. But yes, R.I.P. Trevor Moore. That was a loss I took hard, of a celebrity loss. And I guess rest in peace, Michael K. Williams. That just happened at the time of this recording. Yeah, there's still some good ones in here, and we'll think of a bunch. We kind of let that muscle fall by the wayside and weaken this year because we didn't have to choose a series for...
Did you really just put Final Destination franchise and list every single one?
Yeah.
I'll just write Final Destination franchise!
So I can cross them off when we do them?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like crossing them off, though. But what if we only do 3 or something? We don't do the rest, and I have to cross off 3.
Stiller direct? Oh, I'm not letting that happen. You better hope I have another emotional trauma.
Yeah, I would only really want to talk about Tropic Thunder, I think.
Arctic Lightning.
Arctic Lightning, of course.
Movies we wish we could have seen at the time of their release.
Yeah, that was an idea you had. That's a good one.
There's another one, too, about the idea that, like, movies people love, but, like, we think are, like, abject garbage. Movies that should be hated series.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that,
That's
it would
American
be great
Sniper.
to revisit Unexpected Love movies. That's a good. That's
an evergreen.
Well, now that we have Ben, that'd be interesting to get other people, or LaShawn even get other people's opinions on that. I mean, and also, if you're at the bottom of the spreadsheet, Zach, whenever I can find a copy of Hot Dogs for Go Gone, we're going to do a bonus episode on it.
That's never going to happen. But
well, yeah, I know. I'm resigned to that.
There's one series I just added recently was Crazy That It Exists.
Okay.
The first title is Jupiter Ascending. But that's Four Stick, Sucker Punch, Wild Wild West.
Sucker Punch, yeah.
I rewatched Wild Wild West recently before my HBO Max thing ran out. Beautiful.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Kenneth Branagh is a bisected man.
Mm-hmm. Ted Levine can't hear in the movie. Yep.
Kevin Kline in drag.
Yes.
Will Smith literally about to be lynched.
Yeah. Oh God, I haven't seen that in a while, but man.
That is a trip.
Oh, as I always say, I haven't seen that movie in a coon's age. And yes, I'll put the clip in. Yes.
Mr. Webb. Nice of you to join us tonight and add color to these monochromatic proceedings.
Well, when a fella comes back from the dead, I find that an occasion to stand up, be counted.
Miss East informs me that you were expecting to see General McGrath here. Well, I knew him years ago, but I haven't seen him in a coon's age.
Well, I can see where it'd be difficult for a man of your stature to keep in touch with even half the people you know.
Context.
And the last series I thought of was crossovers, like Roger Rabbit, Robot Chicken, Wreck-It Ralph's, Ready Player One. The idea of movies that do crossovers.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I put in the spreadsheet, but when you mentioned that, I know Ben has talked about, or Ben and I in the Patreon have talked about doing like team-up movies. Like not the Avengers, but something like that. So like Mystery Men, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So like those big team-up movies. And that's good fun, yeah. So yeah, who knows where 2022 is going to take us with Cinemodities. If anybody has any recommendations, feel free to send it to cinemodities@gmail.com. Of course, we will read them. We might not take them into consideration. If you want...
Pay for it.
Exactly. If you want to actually make requests, though, that we will honor, you can pay for that at the Cinemodities Patreon. And, as always, check out the Cinemodities subreddit for more information about the show. So I think at the end of this, Zach just ran away from me. I will say at the end, I'm thinking of... or we both are thinking of how to end this episode. How do we end the 200th episode of Cinemodities? I pulled up the Jupiter Ascending soundtrack on IMDb. There's only two things listed. And one of them is You Kogato Budit Neptunosti by Ethan Stoller. And the other one is Fanfare for the History of Planet Earth by Ethan Stoller. I'm tempted to look up when I edit this what those sound like, and I probably want to play one of those in reverse. Probably the first one. You Kogato Buddha Neptianosti. When Zach gets back, he will give me his thoughts.
Perfect.
Okay.
This morning.
That's on my Spotify playlist. Okay, that's it. Zach, any final thoughts on the 200th episode? Are we out? We did it.
May this podcast please end before 400 episodes.
Okay. I don't know if I agree with that yet. I probably will by the time we reach this episode in real time.
So I cannot find the Ethan Stoller music used in Jupiter Ascending. I don't know where they are in the movie, since I don't really know what they sound like. So instead of what we set up in the episode, I decided to use a different track from the score in reverse. I picked the one that just stood out to me from Michael Giacchino's score, Flying Dinosaur Fight with Guts bonus track. That's what you're about to hear in reverse to end this episode and this month on The Wachowskis.